time once again to go racing.
It does not get any better than this.
The pressure is really on now.
Yes, it's pole position. Lights out and we're racing in PSGL.
The first lap has been absolute chaos.
What an overtake.
Oh no!
I've never seen anything like it.
Side by side again. This will be settled right at the end. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to PSGL. We are back. It is the grand finale, folks. The grand finale of all finales. It's season 30's last race. We are here at the sandy circuit of Bahrain. Obviously not right now. I'm in my my broadcast room. And my name is George Morgan, for those who don't know me. But next to me is the man who has been with you all season long. It's Dan Field. Dan, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic, George, as always. But there's a little bit of sadness in the air, of course, for the final round of what has been one of the best seasons of PSGL of all time. We head to Bahrain for the final round of the season. And, well, the PSGL grid are going to do what they do best and put on an absolutely stunning performance for us.
1 time, 2 time, 3 times a PSGL PC champion. Jana Watmir took the crown only a matter of weeks ago. And of course, we witnessed Brendan Lee claim yet another victory here at PSGL as well, enhancing his league prospects further. And one could only imagine what he could certainly pull off heading into F1 22. Let's have a little look as to what we have got coming up, because there's lots to look forward to at this sandy circuit of Bahrain. There you can see it, 3 sectors as standard, 15 corners, 3.362 miles. You've got 3 DRS detection zones, of course. You've got the long straight heading down through towards turn 1, one of the fastest straights on the calendar. But then, of course, things get slightly more technical leading into sector 2. Turn 10, for example, a downhill slope leading into a 90-degree left-hander, which will then pitch you up perfectly for the DRS line heading down the stretch in towards turn 11. Then, of course, you've got the sweeping sections of sector 3, where you'll then take a long stretch leading down through towards turn 14 and 15, where you will tackle that long home straight again. A technical circuit, but a fast circuit of sorts here, Dan.
Yeah, and of course, it's normally the first round of the season. It was, of course, round number 1 back in season 29. So it's been completely flipped for this season in season 30 for the last race on F1 2021. But before we head into the new game, so it's going to be really exciting to see how they get on with one of the most recognisable circuits, I'd say, on the F1 calendar.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's going to be interesting, folks. Obviously, do keep your eyes peeled. We're going to have certainly plenty of action. Bear with me. I am also getting word that apparently the mic is not superb. Apparently it's coming through on a mono. Very interesting indeed. Bear with me, folks. We will get that fixed for you. But Dan, just talking about some of the races we've had in the past, I remember, of course, last season where we did have an exhilarating start to season 29. Freddie Rasmussen, Jana Watmir, Nicholas Longe giving everything in the start of the Bahrain Grand Prix. Things got a little bit harem-scarum down through towards turn 8. It looked like it was going to get pretty testy between the drivers. I think we could be seeing some more of that tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, on the last race of the season, they don't really have anything else to play for. I mean, both the drivers and constructors title have been decided. So these drivers are just out here for fun. And surely that means they're not going to be playing as tactically as they normally do. And they're just going to be batting it out for as much as they can.
They certainly will be, folks. And I hope that is better for you as well. I think we better fix the issue. But yeah, big thank you, everybody. I can see that Ginger Andy has, of course, commented in the chat as well. And he said, can we get a good luck wish for Eintracht Frankfurt, please? Absolutely not, Andy. I think there's plenty of Scottish fans out here that want to see Rangers lift the Europa League here today. Danfield doesn't agree. But I do want to say something about Ginger Andy, because, of course, this is a man I've commentated with on numerous occasions. And unfortunately, we do have to say goodbye to to the Scottish GOAT. That is Ginger Andy. What a privilege it has been to see this man, witness this man back in F1 League racing, who has done a superb job bringing it back to the forefront. Obviously, when I finished in season 29, it was the task of Ginger Andy and, of course, Dan Field to look after the stream, look after the league, and they did a spectacular job. Andy, for one, big thank you to you, my friend. It has been really, really special indeed. And I'm sure that everyone at PSGL wishes you the very best for the future as well. And Dan, what about your experiences working with Andy? Because, of course, you've had to put up with the Scottish man all season long.
Yeah, and I made one comment at the beginning of the season about him not being my favourite Scotsman. He's never let me live it down. But working with Andy has been one of the most fun, some of the most fun I've had in league racing commentary. And but he's been an absolute pleasure to work with, and I wish him all the best in his future endeavours. I know he's getting into the football stuff, and he's done a really good job. I mean, he sent me a few clips in the past, and he's absolutely incredible. So, Andy, we'll miss you a lot here at PSGL, but best of luck, mate.
Yeah, no, Andy is certainly a special character. We do, obviously, Andy, wish you the very best of luck. What a man indeed. We may not agree every time on the football, but I think we agree a little bit more than Luke Humphreys, I think, from time to time. So I think we'll give each other that one. But no, amazing indeed. Everyone give Andy your love and support in the live chat as well. I'm sure it would mean an awful lot to him. But very shortly, folks, we're going to be heading out to qualifying, and let's just go through some of the running orders for tonight, because there's been a lot of changes to the grid lineups for this final race of this season. Jarno Opmeer not going to be here tonight, of course, being replaced by Will G in the Mercedes. Tomek Paradzis being replaced by Carter Lundy, with Jake Bedham also being replaced by Duncan Hoffland. Liam Parnell replaced by Ben Charbot Connie. Shanaka Clay will be replaced by Lucas Blakely, returning, of course, for the first time in a while. Has finally got his new rig. He's raring and ready to go. We're looking forward to seeing what he can do here tonight. Alvaro Caraton replaced by Dylan Warren, his first PSGL F1 appearance in a long time. As well as further down, Simon Perigny back in the seat as well, replacing Dario Yamulo. Fabrizio Donoso replaced by Luke Smith. And of course, Philip Prejnader replaced by one Alfie Butcher as well. So it may be a very different grid, Dan, but the competitiveness is still extraordinarily high.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited to see some of these drivers that we've got filling in particular, I'd say Alfie Butcher, because of course we had him last week in Imola, and he was absolutely incredible. He was certainly in the ring for pole position on debut at such a young age, and he's really burst onto the PC scene, of course, racing on the Xbox side previously. Now coming onto the PC platform, he's really made a name for himself already, and he's got himself a little bit of a cult following.
Yeah, he certainly does. Absolutely. And we'll look forward to seeing how that cult following responds as we head into tonight. But now, looking at this certainly lineup of drivers, obviously all of them very, very capable race winners. We've seen them all moving their way up through F3, F2. Now, finally, a lot of them pitching themselves in F1. A lot of these drivers pitching themselves for challenger seats, many of them for F1 esports seats as well. PSGL now being declared as one of the leagues to look out for when it comes to new F1 esports talent. The F1 esports teams look very closely at leagues, so a lot of these drivers looking to give their all to potentially get themselves a seat in F1 esports and the Pro Championship in the near future. Obviously, if you want to hone your skills, Premier Sim Gaming Leagues is the place to be. PSGL certainly does carry a weight of expectation, certainly when it comes to quality out on track, and I think we've witnessed a lot of that this season. Of course, Jarno Opmeer, as we've said, now crowned a 3-time PSGL PC World Champion, a 4-time champion if you consider his PlayStation record as well, picking up a championship victory quite a few seasons ago. But obviously tonight, Mercedes still sitting pretty on top of the constructors' standings. But of course, can we witness maybe the likes of Lucas Blakely turning up the heat and maybe getting a race win on his return? We'll have to wait and see. We saw it quite a few times in pre-season leading up towards season 29. He likes a return, Dan. I really do fancy Lucas to perform tonight.
Absolutely. I mean, Lucas Blakely has really come alive on F1 2021, and of course he was a part of the championship fight last season against Jarno Opmeer. Unfortunately for him, he wasn't able to trump the Dutchman, but without Jarno on the grid, surely Lucas Blakely is going to seize this opportunity to take the fight to some of the established PSGL drivers across this season, making his return, of course, not having a rig for quite some time, and finally getting it back, and he's ready to perform on the grand stage of league racing.
Yeah, and obviously there's a big shroud of mystery around where Lucas Blakely is going. No one knows where he is going to be positioning himself for the F1 Esports Pro Championship season. Will he remain at Aston Martin? A lot of speculation says he won't. It could be the case that he does move, and we will find him at an alternate team. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, nobody knows yet as to what the final teams are going to be. Obviously, we've seen a lot of changes. Daniel Haddad, of course, being crowned a Williams driver now. Coming for the upcoming F1 Esports Pro Championship season. So we've got lots to look forward to in that regard. Lots of driver changes. It's going to be silly season in the world of Formula One, folks. And of course, the F1 22 game only just around the corner. And we, of course, here at PSGL will be springing into action and bringing you all the live action when it comes down to F1 League Racing and F1 Esports. So keep your eyes peeled and make sure you stay tuned to all the socials for that, folks. Of course, at Premier Sim GL is the place to find it. You can, of course, find myself and Danfield on Twitter as well. Our tags are just below us. So please feel free to leave us a follow. And also some likes, maybe even check out some of the other content that we're up to as well. But without any further ado, folks, we're going to be heading into qualifying. This is when things get saucy. And, of course, 3 qualifying sessions as standard here in PSGL F1 PC. Q1, Q2, Q3. Big test of stamina, of course. Lots of these drivers have been through it numerous times, but can they withstand the pressure, Danfield?
Yeah, of course, qualifying in such a long format, it can take a toll on some of the drivers. They've also got to be a little bit more strategic in their tyre usage, but I'm really excited to see how they gut along. And of course, it is also sort of where you see the strategic game being played. I know the likes of Brendan Lee. He doesn't really like to shoot for pole often. He always likes to slot himself in around about 11th position, 12th if he's unlucky, but he really does like going for that alternate strategy, and we could see that coming out from some other drivers today. And then of course we got some other drivers fighting it out for pole position. Really does mix up the grid, and it is always exciting to see.
Certainly is, and we're just about to make our way across to Bahrain, the sandy circuit. I'm going to ask you, Dan, before we head into qualifying, obviously I want to ask you guys in the live chat as well, who do you think is going to set the world on fire when it comes to qualifying here today? Who has the power to dominate here at Bahrain? Dan, over to you. Give me your selection.
Dear, it's always hard to pick, but you know what? I will just go for a personal pick. I'm going to say Wilson Hughes. Going to have a great day today.
Yeah, well, Wilson Hughes is certainly a good pick, that is for sure. Entrusted with the McLaren team, of course, and part of Veloce Esports. And I'm sure a man who would love nothing more than to take a PSGL PC F1 victory. He did actually talk to me earlier on. We had a little conversation, and he says, I hope you guys in the commentary box don't curse me. It could be the case that could certainly be the case. We'll have to wait and see, but we'll certainly sit tight and watch on as we get through to qualifying. Will Lewis is obviously here as well. We've got the likes of Louis Welsh, of course, the pad man, who has certainly wowed spectators time and again. It's going to be interesting to see how he fares, certainly given that Bahrain can be a bit slippery and tricky.
Yeah, and of course, you've got to, you've really got to go full commitment around this circuit. I mean, it can chew you up and spit you out, and you might be noticing there is a certain lack of a Lucas Blakely on the grid at the moment. I've just checked in the Discord chat, and we've got him coming in for the race, so he's going to be doing a last question mark challenge here today. I don't know if that was intentional, if he's having PC issues or maybe rig problems. I'm not too sure, but we do know that he is going to be here, just not in qualifying.
Yeah, there you have it, folks. We'll certainly keep our eyes peeled. And also keep an eye on this man as well, Alessio Di Capua, currently in an Aston Martin and out on track. He's going to be making his way down through the backstretch, leading down through towards the last couple of corners here at Bahrain, where he'll then tee up a fast lap very, very soon. But there you can see him just slowing down the car, getting the car eased into the next right-hander. And we'll have to wait and see as to what he can land as he opens up the DRS and sends it down towards turn 1. Let's keep our eyes peeled on Alessio Di Capua, as we're now watching him make his way down through towards turn 1. As Alessio now rounds it, just easing the car in third gear. Will again put his foot down on the throttle straight away up to fourth. A little twist of the wheel there, heading around turns 2 and 3. Now down through towards turn 4 does the Aston Martin, and round it now he goes. Certainly still in fourth gear for traction. Quick shifted up to fifth as now he heads through towards the next chicane. Left, right, yet again round the next left Martin, and I think he was backing out there. It didn't look overly convincing at the chicanes there downfield.
Yeah, I don't believe that Alessio De Cap was all that confident on this run, but Matthijs van Erven, on the other hand, is a little bit behind him. We'll see if the Dutchman, yet to score a point, surprisingly, in this season. We'll see how he gets along as he's at the peak of the circuit. Down at turn 4, it's going to be the run downhill towards turn number 8 through 5, 6 and 7 now. And again, he's not looking like he's pushing too hard at the moment, but certainly more than Alessio De Cap was. As an inside right-hand corner, of course, very easy to lock up through there, but he's done this quite nicely. Down in towards 9 and 10. Of course, a big lock up, and he's completely missed his apex there, and it's looking a bit klutzy for Matthijs van Erven, but of course it's only Q1 at the moment, so it's not too big of an issue due to the fact that he's still got 14 minutes left to go in this session. But early signs, George, is that drivers are struggling.
Yeah, it certainly is. Alessio De Cap goes to the top. A 1:33.727 is certainly what is going to land him on top spot, and that for now is the fastest time. Plenty more to come through though. Lundy being one of them. He's joining us here in the F1 tier as he now rounds turn 8, heading down through towards turn 9 now very shortly, and then shortly turn 10 too, as we're now watching the Alpha just spring into action, intermediate tyres. So obviously we're not going to get anything representative at this point. So now we're making its way down through the long back stretch, leading up towards turn 11. And he'll make the stiff incline rise now, leading up towards turn 12 and 13. You've got to be very careful around this track. Certainly here at Bahrain, very easy to let slip. And it can land you in a lot of trouble as well. But we got currently a few drivers still enlisting the help of the intermediates, at least for now, just to get their cycle laps in. We do, of course, have other drivers on the softs for now, but still waiting to go out. We do have another man, though, that's crossed the line, and that's Simon Shooter, who lands on 1:39.468 on intermediates. Matthijs van Erven also out on track. Sector 2 currently to his name. He'll be looking for an improvement. The man who certainly did a lot for Haas last season in the F1 Esports Pro Championship. He was certainly one of their main go-getters here, Dan, and not a man too far away from the points.
No, I mean, Matthijs van Erven, he's also still, you need to consider, he's still a very young driver, so he's got a lot of room to grow and improve. So I'm really excited to see where the Dutchman can go. Of course, also a part of the PSGL PlayStation side back in the day on F1 2020. So he's got a long history of league racing, and it's good to see him still kicking about. And now in the F1 Esports Series, he's now coming up towards the final corner at turn number 14, and then they consider this little outstretch onto the main straight at turn number 15, but it's officially not the final braking zone. As across the line goes Van Erven. That's his first lap on the board. It's going to be a 1:27.3, and that's looking a little bit more like it for these drivers.
A very respectable 1:27 sends him 5 seconds clear, or just under 5 seconds clear of Matthijs van Erven. Brendan Lee, in fact, just over, very nearly breaking it into the 6s. But there's Brendan Lee out on an outlap as well on intermediates. Of course, the man who won at Imola last time out, and making his way down through towards turn 9 and 10 as well. Of course, at Ferrari, and has yet to take the world by storm like he did in 2018 in the world of F1 Esports, but I have to say he'll be mightily encouraged by his performances of late. Of course, this season managing to claim victory here at Imola, as I said before, and not only that, the race at Singapore, where we witnessed certainly a real humdinger of a race indeed. But Brendan seemed to control the pace from start to finish, and some signs that the young Brit is getting back to the top again.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to see how Brendan Lee can do. Of course, he made a name for himself, a part of the Mercedes franchise. Now he's switched over as of the last season of F1 Esports. He's now made the switch to Ferrari. He's been living in Italy, and I'm pretty sure he's loving life at the moment. And he's certainly doing well in PSGL. He's coming back into the pit lane, of course, not looking to set a lap time on the intermediates. But his teammate for tonight is currently on a run, and that is Alfie Butcher, a driver who has been very, very impressive in recent weeks, both in PSGL and WORS. He's just coming on the run up down this back stretch here in towards turn 11 with the incline up the hill in towards the final sector, as Benjamin Connie sets the fastest time for 26.8.
Yeah, Benjamin Connie has gone to the top of the standings at 1:26.857, enough to topple Matthijs van Erven. Alfie Butcher, of course, one not to be reckoned with. A man with certainly a lot of talent as well, and I'd imagine we'll be seeing him close to the top as he now rounds the next right-hander, the double right. Bit of a hidden corner around that final bend, of course. You've got turns 14 and 15. The Little King leading down through towards the straight is landing Alfie Butcher up into second place. And, God, very, very close indeed. Approximately 300ths of a second is all that separates him and Connie. So very minimal gaps. Not bad at all, but still a long way to go, of course, folks. We're only in Q1 and still, well, we're within the 10-minute mark now.
We're halfway through the session. We've only seen 6 lap times on the board, and arguably only 2 of them are actually representative. I imagine Van Erven can improve on his 27.3. But finally, George, we are beginning to see some soft runs coming out. Drivers on their out laps, including the likes of Berger, Martins, Zeller, Hoffland. But we do have Andrei Tarabukin currently on his run for his first lap of the session. He's just coming in towards the second sector. You'd assume with the grippier red walled soft tyre, he's going to be a lot quicker than those on the mediums.
Yeah, absolutely. Tarabukin now, a little bit of a slip there coming out of turn 8, now in towards turn 9. Andrei Tarabukin will surely be looking to try and put the Williams up at the top. Again, a little bit flustered coming out of that, certainly that downward turn 10 that can catch a lot of people out if you take too much curb and be aggressive on the throttle. It can very easily send you into a spinala, as now we're watching Tarabukin rise up through turns 11 and 12, and very certainly turn 13 as well, as he now rounds it in the Williams. Of course, Mercedes power here on offer. You can see the Mercedes there moving across to the side, that being Alfie Butcher, letting the Williams on through, because of course they don't want to hinder his fast lap, as the number 54 Williams now makes its way around those final couple of bends at turns 14 and 15, opens up the DRS, and across the line, Tarabukin, no question, a 125.884 lands him on top spot. The sole man in the 25s for now, but with 8 minutes still to go, all the cars are out on track, bar Brendan Lee, Connie and Alfie Butcher. It's going to be a real slugfest here in the final moments of qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd imagine that the timing screen is going to be shaking up quite a bit in this session. We do have some more runs coming out. I believe the furthest driver up on a run is Duncan Hoffland, just coming into the second sector at one of the lowest points of the circuit, and certainly one of the most technical, especially in towards this next left-hander, turns 9 and 10. So easy to lock up and miss your braking zone, and these drivers always make it seem effortless, George. I mean, you and I, we're not as talented as them, and certainly if we're not using ABS, we're going straight on most of the time in towards turn number 11 for the incline up the hill, in towards 12 and 13. Duncan Hoffland looked quite composed on this lap so far. Through the second sector split he goes to 1 minute 4.672, so looking quite tidy on this lap so far, as he's now got this back stretch here on towards turn number 14, where he's going to hit the braking zone now just before the 50-meter board, off the exit and through the kink at the final corner, using all the track possible. DRS open. We'll see how he stacks up in comparison to Tarabukin, to 1 minute 25.969, so it's not as quick as Tarabukin, seemingly in control.
Yeah, and Danny Berezny is another man who's going to look to try and land an all-status lap time, also on soft tyres. Andrei Tarabukin still on top spot. 2 cars, though, in the 125s. Christoph Zeller makes that 3. That's a 25.611. Here comes Danny Berezny. Opens up the rear wing as there he crosses the line. Berezny booms his way to the top there with a 25.542. And Danny Berezny, the rapid Hungarian, now on top billing here in Q1, of course. The man who has certainly lit things up. Brendan Lee's former teammate at Mercedes as well, listed as a title contender on many an occasion, a rapidly, very, very fast league racer. We've seen it so many times. Berezny now on top as Alessio Di Capua now topples him. He now moves up to the top with a 25.514. The track is getting hotter, Danfield.
Yeah, times are beginning to tumble down as Wilson Hughes comes up to the line. He ran wide at the final corner. That's only netted him 6th position. We've got Louis Welch as well in the first sector. Jona Martins has invalidated, but we do have the young Dutchman of Thomas Ronha at the minute coming through now the final corner, and this is a driver you need to look out for future races, because he has got bags of talent as he gets a little bit squirrely off the exit at the final corner, but to cross the line now, and he goes to the top of the order with a 1 minute 25.454. That is going to take some beating. He's gone just about half a tenth clear of Alessio Di Capua. That is a very good time from the Dutchman.
Certainly is. Jonah Martins will certainly be trying to do something similar. He comes around the final 2 corners and is certainly in the Haas. Going to look to try and land something good. No, he comes into the pit lane, not happy or convinced at all. Louis Welch, the pad man, now with only a matter of minutes left to go here in this Q1 session. A very sensitive part of this session as well, because of course eliminations certainly are the issue at this point. Certainly Wilson Hughes be looking to go quicker as well. He's currently coming out of turn 10. We got many others as well, but as we now rejoin with Louis Welch round in the final couple of corners now on his fast lap, this AlphaTauri needs to find something serious. He comes into the pit lane. He's not happy. He's struggling as well. Simon Perigny in sector 3. His teammate further up as well is round in the final corner. That's Luke Smith. He comes into the pit lane as well. Is Perigny going to cross the line? Is he going to land a fast lap time? Here's Perigny now. He moves up 8th fastest as well. No one can touch Thomas Ronha right now. Within a 10th of a second, only one man gets close, and that is Alessio Di Capua. Incredible, Danfield.
Yeah, Thomas Ronha really taking control of this session. Alfie Butcher's currently just coming into the final sector, and he's a full second up on his previous best, about a 10th and a bit down on what Thomas Ronha has done so far. So the Ferrari driver looking to make a name for himself once again in PSGL. He comes into the final corner now and trying to get the power down as early as he can on the exit. Oh wow, very squirrely there, and that has completely ruined his time. It's gone out the window. He still comes across the line to do a 25.7, but that has left a lot to be desired for him.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to be making any mistakes, certainly here at Bahrain. Very easy to do so. Perigny still out on track. Of course, Alfie Butcher is also still out and about. He's actually gone quite a bit quicker. 1.1 seconds he's managed to lop off his time. So this is looking pretty testy here from Alfie Butcher. Looking surely like a force to be reckoned with. We've seen him in a number of other races and he has performed out of his skin. Of course, here in the Ferrari, partnering up with Brendan Lee here tonight as he now rounds the next right at turn 8. Big opportunity here for the young man to really make a name for himself here in PSGL as he now rounds the next left-hander down through towards the sweeping turn 10 here in sector 2. Rounds that left-hander now through towards the long straight. DRS opens up here for the Ferrari. Alfie Butcher looks onwards now as turn 11 beckons, breaks in just before the 50, moves his car into the inside, doesn't even graze the curb on inset. On the outset, takes a little bit of it though. Round turn 12, turn 13 next. The Ferrari looking all power and punch right now. Round through this next strike, keeps the car on the track, all 4 wheels positioned within the tarmac. Here comes Alfie Butcher down through towards the next right-handers of turn 14 and 15 now as we ride on board now with the Butcher himself. I don't think he's happy. He's coming in the pit lane and Alfie Butcher not setting another lap time.
Yeah, so that is going to be him coming back into the pit lane. I would imagine that he's going to be strapping on a fresh set of the soft compound tyre to see himself into the next session and qualifying securely. We've seen the likes of Capua, Bergene, Lundy and Zella all retire in the pit lane. They feel that they're safe into the next session. I'd particularly agree with them. I'd say a mid-point 6 is going to be around about where the cut-off point is. We do have some runners, though, setting times at the moment. The likes of Buchan, Hoffland and Louis Welch are all out on circuit, trying to put their lap times in and avoid that relegation zone and being in that bottom 5 and eliminating Q1.
Yeah, absolutely. Jonah Martins now round in the next right-hander. Heading out of turn 8. Got turn 9 and turn 10 next. Of course, they'll be prepping now for these last final runs. We're within the 1.5 minute point. And as we're now watching Jonah Martins round turn 10, he'll have another straight to take. Where, of course, he'll then meet once again turn 11. You can see their cars parked in the middle of the road. Of course, Jonah Martins moving to the inset to allow the Williams through. And that is, of course, if I'm not mistaken, Andre Buchan, I think, who's making his way up through as well. So obviously looking to perhaps go quicker, looking for that has to make way so he can get the move done, or certainly get some moves done in order to pull off at least a decent lap time. We're now within the final minutes of Q1, folks. This is when the times will be flickering inwards. Thomas Ronha, Alessio Di Capua, Danny Beresne, Carter Lundy, Christoph Zeller and Simon Perigny all feeling confident. Here comes Buchan, who crosses the line. He moves up to 8th fastest, so a good showing from him as well. Jonah Martins, he doesn't breaks P17 at 134.158. Now he's got to go now, Dan. Now or never for Jonah Martins. If he wants to get out of the drop zone, he'll have to use this set of tyres again.
Yep, Louis Welch has just seen himself into 5th position with a good time, so that relegates Jonah Martins down once again. as in towards the braking zone at turn number 4. He looks to be on his way out qualifying. He can't nail this lap. Same goes for Brendan Lee at the moment. George, he is currently in the second sector without a lap time to his name. Of course, the bottom 4 in this session are getting relegated because, of course, we've only got 19 runners in this session. But now, George, the clock has struck 0, and we need to be watching Brendan Lee as he's coming in towards the final sector now. And he's gone purple on the timing screen, but that doesn't appear to be the case on Taz. But he's certainly competitive with the likes of Thomas Ronha and Alessio de Capua. So Brendan Lee looks to be flying as he comes into the final braking zone of this circuit, down at 14, and he runs through 15 onto the curbing. DRS now enabled for the Ferraris. He crossed the line. What's it going to be? He's going to go second fastest and just behind Ronha.
Yeah, big credit to Thomas Ronha. Obviously a time that could not be matched, at least for now. We've also got Connie looking to make some improvements. He's within a tenth quicker. Currently just over 800ths quicker in the second sector at this point. Now rounds up the next left-hander out of turn 11, around turn 12, around turn 13 as well. We're now going to watch the Red Bull as it looks to maybe strike it in position. Goes faster again in sector 2. So Connie trying to make serious moves here. If he can do so, I could see him easily breaking into the, well, it could be the low 10s. We'll have to wait and see as he now rounds the next right-hander. The Red Bull will surely look to land a big one here. Comes up towards the line, opens up the DRS first of all, though, as he now crosses it. No improvement set. It doesn't say here anyway. Maybe an invalidation. No, it's a late update. He does go into the early 10s. So P11 for Connie, last gasp, and that effectively eliminates Alfie Butcher, Will Lewis, and Matthias van Herven.
Yeah, I think that's a big disappointment that Alfie Butcher has gone out this early in qualifying, and he was unable to improve on his previous best time for 25.7, where he made that massive mistake in that final corner. So it's likely he would have got through into the second session of qualifying if he didn't make that massive mistake. But of course, it is all would have, should have, could have. But unfortunately, he didn't, and that is his day done, along with Will Lewis, and surprisingly as well, George, Matthias van Herven. Out in P18, only a 26.2 to his name. That is not a good session.
No, not at all. I think he'll be very disappointed because obviously we all know Matthias as a very, very good driver, very quick, very rapid, performed extraordinarily well when, of course, he was driving for Haas. But nevertheless, these are the results. Thomas Ronha, the Dutchman, the youngster, part of Veloce Esports, now landing top spot here in Q1. Brendan Lee in second, Alessio de Capua in third, Danny Beresne in fourth, with Carter Lundy in fifth, Wilson Hughes in sixth, Louis Welsh seventh, Luke Smith in eighth, Timon Shooter in 9th, Christoph Zeller in 10th, Connie in 11th, with Andre Tarabukin in 12th, Dylan Warren in 13th, Duncan Hoffland 14th, and Simon Perigny just about staying in because he's in the top 15. We lose Alfie Butcher, Will Lewis, Matthias van Herven, and Jonah Martins, who unfortunately wasn't able to break into the 126s. Unbelievable, really, folks. But what a moment. Q1 certainly over, but certainly not everything's all said and done. We've still got 2 more qualifying sessions to come. But on the outlook, a few surprise packages here, Dan, because, of course, looking at it on face value, we would have expected a little bit more, like you say, from Matthias van Herven and many others. Maybe we'll start to see some more true pace coming into Q2, but it's incredible to see the likes of Carter Lundy and, of course, the likes of Simon Perigny as well. You'd expect a little bit more from him, but you've got to give credit to the likes of Carter Lundy getting up into P5 in Q1.
Yeah, I mean, Carter Lundy has actually been a very impressive driver in recent weeks, and I've also got to give a little bit of credit to Louis Welch. Of course, I believe back in season 26, he scored 1 set of points in that season, and it was 16 at Bahrain, so he won his only Grand Prix that season around this circuit, and he appears to really like it because he's managed to nestle himself right at the sharp end of the order, so you've got to give the Padman some credit.
You certainly do. We're going to be heading over for Q2 now, folks, because all the drivers are now getting ready to go out. As you can now see, we've got Alessio de Capua out on track, including Carter Lundy as well, who we're just talking about, as well as Thomas Ronha, Andre Tarabukin, who managed to get himself at the last gasp up higher in the echelons of this classification. Of course, he's going to be hard-pressed to certainly strike a claim for Q3 if he lands it into the bottom 10 again. But I'm sure he'll look to go quicker. Great to see Dylan Warren back at the top end as well, of course. Currently sat in P12, of course, in our renewed classification standings here for Q2. But Dylan Warren, one of the rising stars back in season 28 when PSGL first announced the brand new PC Championship, was certainly listed to have a potentially very successful career. One of the young startlets, the one that was looking really impressive, had a very, very positive opening race when we commenced proceedings back in season 28, but since then has taken a little bit of a nosedive. Maybe just a case that he needs to regather himself and potentially go again, Danfield.
Yeah, he's gone a bit quiet as of recent on the F1 2021 game, where it seems like his pace really has sort of dropped off. But I don't want to say that about a driver that's still so young and still got so much time to grow and learn as a driver. So I think we just need to be a little bit patient with Dylan Moore, and it's good to see him back on the PSGL F1 grid. First time we've seen that in quite some time. I actually can't remember the last time he was in PSGL F1. So I'd say it's baby steps at this point for Dylan Warren. Some people might have given up hope, but I'd say you just need to give him a bit more time, and we'll see what he can do with that.
We know he can perform, and we've seen it from time and time again. He drove for Racing Point back in season 28, and of course today he lines up in a slightly different car, of course, but still here nevertheless, and I'm sure he's eager to perform. We're here now with Carter Lundy, of course the man who impressed in Q1, P5 in the opening view, and actually riding with a Maxime MXM helmet on the car here today that conveniently blends in with the look of his Alfa Romeo livery. As he now rounds turn 10, opens up the DRS and will send it down the main straight. So obviously these will be the initial times that we see proceedings here in Q2. So we'll be able to test the water and just see where the land lies in between all of these drivers. Heading up through now turns 11 and 12. Carter Lundy looking smart right now as he now makes his way. Goes purple as you would expect in sector 2. No surprises as these are the opening laps here in this Q2. And down through towards what will be the next right-hander, as he now makes his way down towards turn 14 and 15. So opening lap here for Carter Lundy to get us kicked off here in qualifying, as now we watch him open up the DRS, cross the line. What's it going to be to kick us off at 26.2? One of the fastest times that we have seen so far, of course, certainly in the early stages of a session. Naturally, you would expect this, given the fact that the track is warming up, though we did see times in the 25s in Q1, so be sure to expect those as we head into the deeper echelons of Q2 here, Danfield.
Yeah, we'll also start to see some drivers play this strategical game. Of course, a lot of them like to invalidate their first runs in Q2 to just get themselves a delta time and then utilise that for their medium runs. And we're already seeing some runners on the set of the mediums. So we've seen Andre Tarabucan actually set his first timed lap on a set of the yellow wall tyres. So we'll likely see a lot of these drivers come back into the pits after they've set their initial runs. You see the likes of Ronha and Luke Smith, both of them invalidated their first runs. They're just going to back off. So they've set themselves a delta, come back into the pits, then try for the mediums, because starting inside the top 10 on a set of the medium compound tyre around a circuit like Bahrain, it's going to be a huge advantage coming into the race.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you can make the strategy work, then it's all the better for you. We've only got currently 5 drivers on medium compound tyres. Alessio Di Capua, who's currently out on a fast lap, he's on a set of softs. And of course, one of the men who toppled the timing sheets in Q1 will be looking to try and do that again, as he now makes his way down through towards the next right-hander. I get the feeling, though, he's pulled out of the lap because he's slowing down and moves over to the inside as well. Looks like he's trying to offer an opening to Thomas Ronha, who's also on a slow lap as well. So certainly some mistakes being made early on by some of these drivers, it has to be said. Not the best of starts for a lot of these guys. Dylan Warren out on a fast lap as well here for Williams. Danny Beresne is also out and about on a fast lap too. He's currently sat or just about to move into sector 3 as he now rounds this next right-hander. He actually went fastest of all in sector 2, hitting purple as he now makes his way down through towards turn 14 and 15. On soft tyres, you'd expect him to usurp Carter Lundy at this point if the pace is true as to what we're seeing in sector 2. No, in comes Beresne. Big surprise. Expected him to set that one, Danfield.
Yeah, he invalidated it on the final corner as Christoph Zeller crossed the line to make it an Alfa Romeo 1-2. That's a good sign from him on the medium, on the soft compound tyre of 25.755. As we'll see who else is on a run. I remember seeing Dylan Warren was on a fast lap, and he's currently in the final sector, but he's gone massively wide off the exit of turn number 13. and that is an invalidation for him, letting now the McLaren car of Wilson Hughes go on by, who is pushing on this run as he comes in towards the final corner. Now we'll see the Scotsman rising out the final turn and to cross the line, opening up the DRS, and we'll see what his effort is. Where's he going to go? He's going to go 4/10 clear of Andre Tarabucan, who also sets his time on the medium compound of tyres. So Wilson Hughes with a respectable lap on the set of the mediums, and he'll be pleased with that one there.
Yep, certainly will. Another man who's looking to land a respectable time is Simon Shooter, of course, racing in F1 Esports last season. He opens up the DRS and, of course, crosses the line. He goes third fastest on the medium tyres. Fastest of all medium tyres of all. Obviously, that just being Wilson Hughes. Don't forget, though, Carter Lundy currently sat in P2 on fresh soft tyres. He's on an outlap. Tarabucan, of course, set his initial stint on medium tyres as well. If you have a look at the detail, of course, you can see these are the fastest laps set on their compounded tyres. Tarabucan a 26.9 on mediums, Wilson Hughes a 26.5. Simon Shooter going slightly quicker than Wilson Hughes on the medium tyres, sends himself to the top of that compound list. So of course now we're watching him make his way on his slow lap round through the next chicane, as now Benjabo Connie moves second fastest. Impressive lap time there, just in behind by approximately 1.5 tenths per second behind Christoph Zeller.
Yeah, so we're getting to see some lap times coming out at the moment. Ben Jabakonyi manages to split the Alfa Romeos to make it a future esports 1-2 at the moment in Q3. I'm trying to find who else is on a push lap. I believe Duncan Hoffland is the furthest up on his time run at the moment, currently coming in towards turn number 11 in 5th gear. And it's going to be the slow incline up the hill and in towards turn number 12, but you want to avoid that inside curb. It can really send you spinning if you get onto it in the wrong place. In towards turn number 13, slightly missing his apex there, and it's looking a little bit scruffy in this final sector. We'll see what Hoffland can do. One of the many Dutch drivers on the PSGL PC F1 grid, and they certainly have a thing for talented esports drivers. He comes out the final corner very wide in through turn number 15, and crossing the line now is going to be the slowest of all the medium runners that are actually, I'd say, representative. Dylan Warren's on a 41.9, but I'd imagine he's going to improve massively.
Yeah, I would have thought so. Simon Perigny has just gone fastest of all in Sector 1, so he is on a really pacey lap. Let's keep our eyes on this man because, of course, driving the Alpine at this point and rounds turn 10. Of course, you've got to be very careful with turn 10, very easy to oversteer, and he took a lot of the curb there on the exit. Now, that might have hindered his lap slightly, but he's opened up DRS and down the straight here, the back straight leading up towards turn 11, takes it well, and you want to try and get as tight as you can to the apex to give yourself the best entrance in towards turns 12 and 13 as he now rounds turn 13 now, round this next right-hander, and of course he will be sending it down this long straight, where of course DRS will be detected leading down towards turn 14. It's just before the second to last corner as he now takes it, the next right-hander, and of course it's hit and bend at turn 15. He'll open up the DRS again this time, Simon Perigny. This could be quick as he crosses the line. It certainly is at 25.617 and goes over 300ths faster than that of Carter Lundy. Simon Perigny on top billing, fastest, purple in Sector 1, 2, just could not quite hook it up in 3, but it's enough for P1 anyway.
Yeah, what about Danny Berezsny though? Is he going to be able to topple him massively? Danny Berezsny, the Hungarian, comes out on top. Purple in Sector 1, 2 and 3. It's the clean sweep for the McLaren at the moment. Simon Perigny had his moment in the sun, completely robbed of him by quite some margin as well. To be exact, it is just under 2.5 tenths of a second. So Danny Berezsny, and I'll already say, George, with 5 minutes just under that to go, I'm saying but Danny Berezsny is clear into the next session.
A contributor to Mercedes' outstanding run of constructors titles back in F1 Esports, of course. Remember, it was him and Brendan Lee, as I said earlier on. This man knows how to win races, and if he can continue to show this pace that he certainly has grasp of in qualifying, then I would not be surprised to see Danny Berezsny up on top billing at the end of this Bahrain Grand Prix. We'll have to keep our eyes peeled, folks. Benjabo Connie is currently in P7. Louis Welsh moved up into 8th place in the AlphaTauri. We we've still got 2 cars who have not set lap times, Luke Smith being one of them. What about Thomas Ronha as well, who is making his way out of Sector 2 in towards Sector 3. We've also got Luke Smith, purple Sector 2 for Thomas Ronha. Of course, a man who is no stranger to landing last gasp finishes up at the top end. The AlphaTauri feeling alpha right now. Down through towards turns 14 and 15. Ronha, man on a mission. Oh, a twitch in the rear, but he did enough to control it. Crosses the DRS line, opens it up, goes up to P8. 8th fastest, top 10. It'll keep him safe for now, but on medium tyres, that ain't a bad time, Danfield.
No, that is the quickest time on the set of the mediums, but you're seeing in the pit lane a lot of these drivers beginning to strap on a set of these softs. The likes of Brendan Lee, Time and Shooter, Wilson Hughes and Duncan Hoffland all sitting in the garage with that tyre at the ready. Although Wilson Hughes has blinked, he's come out onto the circuit. Luke Smith has just gone behind Thomas Ronha by 5,000ths of a second, also on a set of the mediums. So both of these guys really impressing me so far with their medium runs, but for how long are they going to be inside that top 10 for? We've only got a few drivers on outlaps. Everyone else is either on a cool down lap or in the pit lane. We've got Christoph Zeller, Ben Connie, and crucially Wilson Hughes in the bottom 5 in Q2. Could be out of qualifying at the moment unless he can nail this final run.
Yeah, the Scotsman needs to get busy. Of course, now rounding turns 9 and 10. And already good display of confidence there from Danny Beresne. Is so content with the fact that he is up at the top, has now retired from the session, so he has no qualms about his positioning here at this point of qualifying. P1 for now for the Hungarian, and currently sits well clear, just over 2.5 tenths of a second of Simon Perigny, near enough 3 tenths in fact, so looking very, very strong is Danny Beresne. But Simon Perigny, no doubt, showing his pace. He has gone out for another outlap, as well as Carter Lundy, who once again shows some real pace up at the top end once again in qualifying. That's a good sign if you're a Carter Lundy fan right now, folks. Wilson Hughes now round in the final couple of bends to commence his flying lap. So I'm going to land it in your hands now, Dan. Who do you think's getting eliminated out of Q2?
That's going to be very tough, considering there's 5 drivers I have to pick from this 15. It is
come on,
very
get off the
difficult
fence.
to
Get
call.
off the fence.
It's difficult, but you know what? I'm going to say the bottom 5: Dylan Warren, Louis Welch, not Thomas Ronha, Jabba Connie, Tara Buchan, and Brendan Lee, because I think he's going to aim for P11.
Well, there you have it, folks. All those drivers being thrown under the bus by Dan Field, as now we're watching Wilson Hughes. That's a likely story. We're now watching Wilson Hughes. Christoph Zeller goes to the top, and he goes purple in all 3 sectors. Pips that of Danny Beresne by a mere 300ths of a second. That's incredible. Again, Christoph Zeller. Where has this pace suddenly come from the future esports drivers? Certainly Christoph Zeller giving us a display. Of course, he took part in challenges, and now he's back here again, top billing in Q2. A very, very nice time.
That is very tidy indeed from Christoph Zeller. We'll see if he keeps that, but Wilson Hughes has gone quicker in Sector 1, as has Carter Lundy. Purple in the first sector as well, so we need to watch out for the Alfa Romeo driver, as Wilson Hughes now in towards the final corner, into the final braking zone, out in towards turn number 15, once again using the curb like all drivers have been doing so far in qualifying. And to cross the line, Wilson Hughes goes into 3rd position, just behind his teammate Danny Beresne, but that should safely see him into the final part of qualifying, and that puts Louis Welch in the drop zone. But all of that bottom 5 all on outlaps.
Yeah, Carter Lundy, though, on a fast lap, heading out through now towards Sector 3, and is now making his way around turn 13. Interestingly enough, it flashed purple on the map. Carter Lundy showing some pace as he now makes his way down the straight. We'll have to keep an eye on this time now and see whether it is true in what it's saying. Rounds the final 2 corners now at 14 and 15. Surely not, Carter. You're not going to usurp Christoph Zeller, are you? Opens up the DRS, makes his way up towards the line. Not quite. P5, though. Alfa Romeo currently sitting in 1st and 5th. Alessio Di Capua comes up across the line. He goes 2nd fastest, just in behind there of Christoph Zeller. 200ths of a second slower than that of Christoph Zeller. Improvements here from the Italian, who of course raced for Williams of course last season. He's back with a vengeance again here, Dan. 2nd place.
Yep, nice time from Di Capua. We still have more runs coming out at the moment. One of them is coming from Louis Welch. He's gone purple in Sector 1, but we still do have drivers in front of them. I believe Simon Shooter might be the furthest up. No, it's going to be Jabba Connie furthest up on a run, who is backed off on this lap. Dylan Warren has also invalidated his time, so it's got to be Brendan Lee up next, and he is 7/10 up on his previous best, and this will safely see him into the next session of qualifying by quite some margin if he can hook it up in the final sector. Now, I know he always likes to aim for P11. We'll see what he opts to do as he comes out of the final corner. Brendan Lee coming towards the line. He was one of the top drivers in Q1. You see it, he's backing off here, and he's trying to aim for that P11. He can only manage 12.
Yeah, well, one man who is looking to cross the line is Duncan Hoffland. He can't go any faster. He's going to be eliminated out of qualifying. So we've lost Dylan Warren, Duncan Hoffland, Brendan Lee out as well. Timon Shooter is out. He can't break P12. And we've got several others up at the top end. Louis Welch getting into 4th place. Wilson Hughes in 5th. Ben Connie in 6th fastest with Carter Lundy as well. But Christoph Zeller, the fastest man in Q2, a 25.3. Against Alessio Di Capua was 25.356. Incredible. 200ths of a second is the gap between the pair. Incredible indeed. Danny Beresnay up there as well. You could understand his confidence, of course, retiring when he was up at the top. Only lost out on 2 places, so his certainly his prediction of being comfortable heading out of Q2 was very well founded. We'll now go through the final positions, but well, around Q2. Here it is. Christoph Zeller is your fastest man for Alfa Romeo, a 25.335 with Alessio Di Capua in 2nd place. Danny Beresnay in 3rd, Louis Welch in 4th, with Wilson Hughes sitting in 5th place with Benjabo Connie, Carter Lundy, Simon Perigny, Andre Tarabukin and Thomas Ronha rounding out the top 10. Interestingly enough, Dan, only one driver on mediums in the top 10, and that's Thomas Ronha. He has got the OP strategy. Incredible. Luke Smith has been obviously released out of this session, of course, as well as Timon Shooter, Brendan Lee, Duncan Hoffland and Dylan Warren, all of them not getting into Q3. But let's talk about Thomas Ronha. He is the only man on the medium tyres as we now head into Q3. That'll give him certainly his choice of strat heading in towards the race. I'll tell you what, you can't fault it.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be aiming for pole position now and still starting on the medium compound of tyres. So he's really in the best position out of anyone if he can nail this final part of qualifying. It's unfortunate for the likes of Luke Smith and all the drivers behind him weren't able to get themselves in Q3. But despite your pressures that you put onto me to make a prediction for the bottom 5, I still got 3 of them right. So I'm pretty pleased with myself about that.
No, you have to get them all right, I'm afraid. It doesn't, I'm afraid you can't get away with that, Danfield. No, we're going to be looking forward to this one now, folks. We're into Q3 now, with the final 10 drivers left in this session. Of course, in qualifying, going for that pole lap. A lot of pressure now. Q3, no matter who you are, whether you're Jarno Watmere or whether you're a young pretender looking to try and claim the throne of the 3-time PSGL PC champion. My question to you now, Danfield, is who is going to be on pole? Of course, we've seen some extraordinary pace from the likes of Thomas Ronha, but what about Danny Beresnay showing some of that pace as well? It could go both ways here.
Ooh, you know what? Because he set his lap time so early into Q2 and was still able to nestle himself in 2nd position, I'm saying Danny Beresnay has got a very good chance of taking pole position. He's currently on his outlap at the moment, just following in behind Thomas Ronha, who has got arguably the best strategy coming into this race, and he is certainly a candidate for pole position as well. So George, it's all up in the air at the moment, but it is going right down to the wire with 10 minutes left to go in this session. It's going to be a shootout between the top 10 for pole position.
Well, I put it to all of you in the live chat, and I want to see you looking busy, folks. Tell me who is going to be on pole for this qualifying session as we head into the very, very helter-skelter finale in quali. I can see already some names here. Beresnay first, Ronha second, Welch in 3rd. Please land it, folks. I want to see it. Danny, we're seeing a lot of Danny here. Ronha says Keckerman as well. So lots of you coming out with your selections. Thomas Ronha is going to be the man to tee us up as now we're watching him make his way down towards turn 1. Thomas Ronha braking just after the 100, makes his way around turn 1. He'll quick shift up to 4th, very shortly up to 5th as well, even before he reaches that corner out of turn 3, heading down through towards turn 4. As he does so, makes his way down. Once again, brakes just after the 100-meter board and lands the apex absolutely perfectly. Out of the chicane now, out of turns 5, 6, and now 7, down through towards turn 8. No surprises to see that lap at purple right now as he now makes his way out of that corner, now heading through towards turn 8, 9, and 10, which is that very tricky left-hander. Let's see how he manages it. Very smooth indeed from the AlphaTauri. Thomas Ronha, of course, on the medium tyres to start this Grand Prix. We know that for sure. The question is, where can he stick his car here at this point of qualifying? 9 minutes to go here in Q3. Can he land a serious blow? Comes up through the next right-hander at turn 12. Turn 13 next. Once again, purple, no surprise in sector 2 as he now makes his way down the long stretch towards the DRS detection zone 3 before turn 14 as he now does so. Brakes after the 100, in between the 100 and the 50, clips the curb, takes a lot of the curb on exit, a bit squirrely but he's okay. Opens up DRS, down to the stretch for Thomas Ronha, a 25-1. What a lap! What a lap there from Thomas Ronha! A 25-1 to boot here at the very start of Q3. That is sensational.
Yeah, it's an incredible time from Thomas Ronha coming out there. I don't know who's going to be able to top that at this current moment in time. I believe Christoph Zeller is certainly going to try. It's actually his teammate Lundy on an outlap just in front of him. Then he got Connie as well pushing. We'll see how the two Hungarian drivers can do as the Red Bull comes into the final braking zone at turn number 14, then rise through the kink at turn 15. He's got a 125.1 to beat. It's a very tall order for the Red Bull, but where's he going to put himself? It's a full second down. What about his teammate of Christoph Zeller for Future Esports? And it's going to be second position. Wilson Hughes is just in behind these guys, and he can only muster second position with a 25.3. So at the moment, George, it looks like Thomas Ronha is in firm control of this qualifying session.
Yeah, unless Capua crosses the line, he doesn't actually set a lap. But I tell you, someone who also doesn't is Simon Perigny, I believe. He doesn't manage to set a lap time either, so he comes up towards turn 1 and does not set a quali lap. Danny Perez about to commence his first run. We've also got other drivers in behind as well, that being Andre Tarabukin, who heads around the final corner, opens up DRS. Where does he land his car? He will go no lap at all for Andre Tarabukin. We've also got Louis Welsh in behind as well, about to start his official qualifying lap. But no one can topple Thomas Ronha. What a lap indeed. 0.2 per second. Now that is massive in the context of Q3 downfield.
Yeah, he is looking undeniable at the moment, and he's really impressing in this session. Danny Bergner is currently on a run, but he is about a 10th down in Sector 1 on what Thomas Ronha has done. It's a clean sweep for him so far in this session with the purple Sector 1, 2, and 3. So Bergner has really got to pull something out of the bags. He comes in towards the downhill left-hander at turns 9 and 10, and off the exit, sliding the car through there. And he's struggling at the moment. I think he's pushing because he knows he's got a very, very tall order in Thomas Ronha to beat, as in towards turn number 11, riding it towards the right-hand side of the circuit and switching it over to the left to take turn number 12 completely flat through here. Then it's the braking zone at turn 13 through the second sector. It's not purple, and he is again about 2/10 down on Thomas Ronha at the moment. So Danny Bergner with such an impressive Q2, not setting the timing screen delight in the final part of qualifying, but we'll see what the Hungarian can do as, oh wow, getting onto the curbs, and he's really he looks scrappy on this lap as he crossed the line. He can still manage P3, but Danny Bergner, a lot to be desired there, and I'd say he's going to come back into the pit lane and try for another push lap.
Yeah, certainly not ideal at all, but despite the squirrely effort, he managed to nestle a P3. So you've got to say that that's pace that we're still yet to see. There is more to come, I believe, from Danny Berezne, folks. Carter Lundy, he's currently invalidated as well. Alessio Di Capua out on track. And he's not showing any signs of going quicker, I don't think, right now, as he now rounds the next one at turn 11. Could be, looks reasonably quick, heading out of turn 10, and he'll be making his way up towards turn 11 now. Actually runs right out wide, so he is tackling this one head on, as he now makes his way through towards the next left. Still on top, Thomas Ronha, already out on an outlap. He's not wasting any time downfield. A 125.1, usually they like to give it a moment, maybe leave it for the final 3 minutes of quali. He's going out with 5 minutes to go. That is a statement of intent from Thomas Ronha.
I'm not sure what those intentions are, but maybe it's just to flex his muscles a little bit more as he lets his teammate Louis Welch go on through, who is managing a respectable time at the moment. through the second sector split. He's on a 36.5 through there, so it's not too much slow. It's about a tenth off of what his teammate has done. Is through now the final corner. The Padman, really fond of this circuit as he comes out of the final corner. Where is he going to manage to put his AlphaTauri? As he crosses the line now, he goes just behind Wilson Hughes in third position. So it's AlphaTauri McLaren at this point. And I'd imagine it's going to stay that way for the time being, unless Thomas Ronha can, he's already on top, but I'd imagine he's going to try and stretch that advantage even more.
I wouldn't be surprised. Now making his way down towards turn 4. Big opportunity certainly on the table for Thomas Ronha as he now makes his way around this next tricky right-hander. Of course, very easy to invalidate if you go beyond the white line. Of course, we've seen it so many times in Formula 1, and immediately goes purple in Sector 1 as well to boot. So this is going to be another quick run here from Thomas Ronha. Certainly a future star in the making, that's for sure. Veloce signed him for a purpose. He, of course, lit up the timing sheets last season, of course, with his superior performances in league racing. Certainly came out of nowhere after performing extraordinarily well in Xbox. A lot of people might remember him from that. Has now since come over to the PC side and has really lit things up as he now makes his way out of turn 11. Turn 12 and 13 will be next. Yellow flags light up as you can see. Lewis Welch slowing down. No doubt he's going to let his teammate through at this point as he now comes out of turn 13. The long stretch now down towards turn 14 and 15. Big opportunity on the table here for Thomas Ronha to once again maybe even land a time in the 24s as he now makes his way. Again the tail starts wagging as now he moves in towards the pit lane. Not keen to set this one at all. Immediately dives straight in, but it's a 25.154 going into the pit lane. Extraordinary.
Yeah, I mean, Thomas Ronha, it's a big ask for him to improve on that lap even further. But coming back into the pit lane, if all the yellow flags would kindly clear away, we can actually see how much time is left in this session, see if he is able to come back out onto the circuit for an outlap. I imagine we're like Lundy and Alessio De Capo, they're all rejoining the circuit. So I'd say Ronha has got enough time here. But meanwhile, there are some other runs beginning. One of them coming from Andrei Tarabukin, yet to set a time on the board in Q3. And already it's looked like he's backed out here with 2 minutes left to go. So he's going to be able to complete a cool down lap and go once more. But I'd say the pressure is really beginning to surmount for these drivers because it is the fight for pole position. And it's only 2 minutes left of it.
Yeah, a little mistake there. Tarabukin now has invalidated his run. Benjabo Connie is the next man on the list to set a lap as he now makes his way down through towards turn 4. He himself, of course, a very, very accomplished driver, an accomplished talent, and a favourite in the Hungarian league racing scene as well. Has performed against the very best in various organisations, performed extraordinarily well in the past, has a lot of potential, a lot of power, a lot of pace. And Benjabo Connie, you would not be surprised to see him land a time up at the top end, of course. He's currently got a 26.125. Of course, we're seeing times very nearly a whole second faster from the likes of Thomas Ronha, which is absolutely unbelievable to think, but still, nonetheless, that's something that Benjabo Connie is going to have to contest with as he now rounds up through the next sections out of turn 12. And you'll have turn 13 next. The Raging Bulls looking to certainly try and land another car, of course, the sister car currently carrying all the plaudits with Thomas Ronha in P1 and Louis Welch in P3. Red Bull themselves be looking to try and get up into the top end. Can Benjabo Connie be the man to pull that off as he heads through the next right-hander? DRS will open up. You can see their Honda written on the rear. You'll light it up now across the line. P4 is all he can get at 25.452. Only a mere fraction, 300ths off Louis Welch, but nevertheless 300ths more is certainly not going to land him higher up the order.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say he'd be too over the moon with that lap, considering we've still got a lot of drivers in behind him looking to set runs. I believe Christoph Zeller is the furthest up on a lap at this point in time, and he's just coming in towards turn number 11. Two AlphaTauris in front of him of Thomas Ronha and Louis Welch. They're going to be the last two drivers on push laps in Q3, so we really do need to watch out for them. They're going to have the absolute best of the track conditions as Christoph Zeller is minorly improving. He only needs 0.002 of a second to actually to jump ahead of Danny Beresnay, but the clock now has struck 0, so no new lap times can be begun here. So it's got to be now or never for Christoph Zeller, as out of the final corner he comes, the Hungarian, looking to surmount his fellow countryman. And he does that and goes ahead of Louis Welch and into P3 to start on the second row of the grid with the same time as Wilson Hughes.
Yeah, Wilson Hughes crosses the line. He doesn't improve, but Danny Beresnay does. He goes third fastest. So good time there from Danny Beresnay at 25.292. Not quite the 2.36 that Wilson Hughes set. We've got another car crossing the line as well, that being Andrei Tarabukin. He goes 7th fastest, so he just improves by 1 position. Goes ahead of Alessio Di Capua. Carter Lundy around the final 2 bends as well. Can he go quicker in the Alfa Romeo? Maybe join his teammate Christoph Zeller as he comes up towards the line. He does join him. P5 is where he sits. Alessio Di Capua, he can't improve. He does not improve at all. Simon Perigny up towards the line. Does he improve as well? He does. He goes 8th fastest ahead of Andrei Tarabukin, who he in turn does not improve either. Benjabo Connie is finished. Louis Welch, the last man to actually land a lap time, and he's run wide. He's invalidated. So there you have it, folks. No improvement from the pad man. No improvement from him.
Ronha's coming through the final corner now, and he's up on his previous best time. This could be an absolutely epic lap from Ronha to cross the line, and he improves by just about 1/10 of a second to really stamp his authority on this grid. What a lap time from Thomas Ronha there in the dying moments of Q3, and he increases his gap at the top of the order. And it might not look like... I can't even get my words out, I'm that excited. It might not look like much, but in Q3 and at this level, a gap of 1/10 of a second, just under 2/10, is absolutely huge.
That has got to be one of the biggest gaps we have seen from P10 to P1 in a long, long time. Alessio Di Capua, near enough a whole 2 seconds off the pace. That is extraordinary, folks at home. Extraordinary. Ronha on pole with Wilson Hughes in second, Danny Beresnay third, Christoph Zeller in fourth, Carter Lundy, Louis Welch, Benjabo Connie, Simon Perigny, Andrei Tarabukin, and Alessio Di Capua. What a statement of intent, folks at home. What a statement. Thomas Ronha. Where did that come from? An early 25. Extraordinary, very nearly a 24, and we have not seen that yet, certainly here in league racing, but Thomas Ronha going the closest and doing it in smashing fashion. He didn't have to do it, Dan, but he showed that he's here to stay. That was a statement of a lap.
Yep, and think about his strategy. He's starting on the medium compound of tyre, and you'd say starting right at the top of the order on the mediums. It might not be good for the first few laps because, of course, those softs are going to be a lot grippier. But I'd say that Thomas Ronha is going to be one of the favourites to win this race.
He's got to be. He's got to be, folks. And I've got to say, I want you to tell me, is Ronha going to do it? Is he the man that is going to land P1 in this race? Is he going to come out victorious against still a very competitive grid of drivers? We've got some of the best up-and-coming talents here in league racing taking part in this race here, certainly this evening. Lots to look forward to, certainly. We're going to be getting another session underway, folks, because, of course, we've got to set up a new lobby, so it'll give us time to assess the situation because, of course, we've got plenty of talents here at PSGL. I can't see anyone. Lots of people saying Ronha with the dub. Certainly Jake Benham has said that. Leon has said that as well. Beresnay says King Kodiak. Jake Boy, why you're not racing, says Kate Chauncey. Everyone wants to know why Benham's taken the night off. How old is Ronha? Somebody said, of course. We got all these young drivers, very young drivers, looking to try and be the future of F1 esports, and certainly Ronha going the right way about it, of course, setting superlative lap times like that. I mean, imagine if that was the 24s, Dan. That would have been incredible. Yeah.
I mean, that, is crazy. And Thomas Ronha, just to answer your question, is 17 years old, so he's actually old enough to compete on the F1 esports grid, and I'd imagine that, he's already a part of the Veloce development scheme, but I'd say that maybe even all 10 of the teams will be chomping at the bit to get a hold of this driver. He is that good. And everyone's saying, he's the next Jarno Opmeer. I think he's going to be the next Thomas Ronha because he's making his own name in league racing, and it is wonderful to see. And I'm rooting for him all the way.
Yeah, well, I look forward to seeing it. Certainly, if those two were teamed together, I mean, that is one Dutch team you you wouldn't want to come up against, that's for sure. The likes of Jarno Opmeer and Thomas Ronha, the Dutch sim race is obviously doing superbly well at the moment. But Ronha up at the top for this race. Plenty of other drivers, though, chomping at the bit. We could see here as well, there was some predictions further up the order. I know that someone said that, of course, Danny Berezne will be up there in the mix. We've seen quite a few messages that Danny Berezne will be in the mix, and Brendan Lee, of course, in P3 as well. But Berezne himself showing a bit of rekindled fire as well as Brendan Lee. So a lot of the old guard starting to come back into the mix now. And, of course, all of them very, very capable. We, of course, have seen Brendan Lee, as I've said before, win at Imola this season as well as Singapore. Danny Berezne himself is certainly no stranger to winning league races, of course. He's a former champion in leagues too, has done it on many an occasion, has come up against the likes of Jarno Opmeer and come out on top as well. Not many would put it past Berezne to come out on top in this affair.
I mean, you can't always talk about the young guns of the sport because you still got some of the icons, the living legends. You could say, you know, Brendan Lee and Danny Berezne have been a part of the F1 esports and the league racing scene for so long at this point, and both of them are race winners this season in PSGL. Of course, Danny Berezne winning in Brazil, I believe it was, and then we had Brendan Lee winning at Singapore and Imola. So you can't forget about the old drivers. I say they're old, they're still relatively young, but in comparison to the rest of the league racing scene and the esports grid, they are some of the older drivers, and they're veterans of the sport. And I really do respect them. They're still being able to keep touch and still be very, very competitive.
Yeah, and that's what we like to see. Keep them in the championship. Let's see them all fight it out and decide who is the best. You know, are some of these guys now, are they past it? I mean, surely not. They're still in their early 20s. Lots of them are still very capable of winning races. I mean, you know, we see footballers, professional footballers performing right into their mid-30s. You know, why shouldn't it be the same for sim racing? We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, the longevity in this sport is obviously aplenty. We'll obviously keep our eyes peeled, folks. Can Brendan Lee and Danny Berezne usurp that of Thomas Ronha, the youngster who is looking to take the world by storm, is doing that certainly with such amazing lap times that we just saw, very nearly breaking into the 24s. But I want to talk again about Carter Lundy. What a performance. Again, midway into the top 10s, has come out fighting. And what can I say? Performance in Q2 was brilliant, consistent. He's done it again in Q3. I mean, what can we say about this man? He is also a driver that has risen all the way up through the echelons of PSGL, F3, F2. He's now in F1 here tonight, and he's making a good statement, I have to say.
Yeah, of course, starting in 5th position today is very respectable for Carter Lundy, and I'm very excited to see how he gets along in this race. And of course, I'd like to mention, I think actually, I'm not too sure, but I do believe he is a part of sort of go-karting leagues and stuff, and you know, he's really making a name for himself on the league racing side of things. Of course, part of Parnell Racing along with Dylan Warren, so they're all a part of these very respectable, high-profile teams, and they're all working together to try and improve as drivers. And that is what I do love about league racing, is that even though there's a competitive side to it, you know, everyone still has their legions. They're all going to work together and try and improve on the whole.
Yeah, and obviously now we're going to be looking ahead to F1 22 as well, and a lot of these faces we could be seeing at the top as well, because I know that all of them are chomping at the bit to get a hold of this new game and get started. Obviously, PSGL will not be waiting around, of course. There will be certainly some action coming up very, very soon, so this could be the precursor to what we could be seeing next season, folks. Lots of young stars looking to come through and make a statement for the future. Lots of teams, like I said before, watch PSGL to look out for new up-and-coming talent. Hey, Thomas Ronha was signed off the back of a league racing performance, has now seen himself racing for the likes of Veloce Esports, who, of course, look after the affairs of such as Mercedes, McLaren, and Alfa Romeo. One can only imagine, you know, the possibilities for Thomas Ronha, as well as many other talents that are looking for seats in the Pro Championship. I, for one, can't wait. I'm going to be tuning in, of course, and hopefully you guys will be tuning in here to PSGL as well. It's now the timer ticks down. Very shortly, folks, will be heading over for the formation lap. So we're just going to have a quick word before we head to the race from our sponsors. Welcome back, folks. Obviously, now we're going to be heading into the race now, but I want to ask you now, Dan, obviously based on the performances we've seen from the likes of Thomas Ronha and various others, and we've seen qualifying. I want to hear it from you as well, folks at home. Who is going to win the Bahrain Grand Prix in the grand finale here at PSGL? Please add your comments in the comment section and the live chat. Let us know who you think is going to come out on top. Dan, I'm going to hand it over to you. Who, in your mind, has got what it takes to win this race here tonight?
Oh, you're really putting me on the spot here. I mean, the obvious answer will be Thomas Ronha, but you know what? I like a little bit of fun. It's the final race of the season. I went for him for pole position. I was incorrect, unfortunately. So I'll go with Wilson Hughes to take the win. Maybe, doubling down is the best strategy here. I mean, that is 100% how it works in gambling, if I'm right. But I'm just gonna go with Wilson Hughes.
He probably won't thank you for that. He won't thank you for that.
I might have cursed him.
You might have cursed him. He says, every time Dan Field tips me for the win, I always lose, he says. So you might have cursed the poor man. The poor Scotsman might not be able to come out on top with a victory. But there we have it. Are you absolutely sure you want to go there?
Now I feel like I can't. You've really put me on the rope. Go Carter Lundy to win this race.
Carter Lundy. Oh, wow, he's cursed now. Sorry, Carter. We apologise on behalf of the commentary team. We're now waiting the drivers now to head out on their formation laps, folks. So I'm just going to read some of the comments that we've got here. Plenty of you having your opinion. We've got the likes of Wilson Hughes. There's comments here for Thomas Ronha. Lots for Thomas Ronha, as well as Brendan Lee. We've got more. We've got Jess Ball as well. Lights the flag victory. So there you have it. So a comment there for Jess Games as well. Corey Morris says P1 for Ronha, P2 for Beresne, P3 for Brendan Lee. Ronha deserves it, says Jelmar. Padman, says Jasper Stool. And Lucas going for a last to first. Could we see that, Dan Field?
Hey, it's anyone's game. I mean, he's starting right at the back of the order. He's got a lot of overtaking to do. We'll see how he gets along in this race. I mean, he's back with Aston Martin today. We'll see how he gets along. I'm really excited to see how Lucas Blakely actually performs today. Of course, without a rig for so long, and he's completely missed out on this season. It's going to be a big question mark as to whether his pace is still going to be here, or if he's actually trying, because, it's the last race on F1 2021. There's no real point of doing it, of going full pelt here today. So we'll see how he gets along. I'm really excited to see Lucas Blakely back on the PSGL PC F1 grid, rightfully where he belongs.
Yeah, well, there's the tyre list, folks. And as you can see, only one man on medium tyres in the top 10. This confirms it. Thomas Ronha on the medium tyres. And look at that at the bottom 10 as well. You've got every driver on the medium. So the Alt Strat, very, very fruitful in those positions, as you would expect. But Thomas Ronha with the advantage. You can see the blazing yellow rim tyres. And as you can see as well, there's Lucas Blakely. Last to first is what he is giving us. That's what he says he wants to show us. As you can see there, vastly far back from the rest of the order. I tell you what, folks, you're going to be witnessing certainly a grand finale of all finales. It's season 30. It's coming to an end here at Bahrain at the desert track. Here at PSGL, please leave a like and also subscribe to stay up to date for all content here on the Premier Sim Gaming League's channel. Ronha on the front row, joined by Wilson Hughes. It's going to be a battle between AlphaTauri and McLaren down towards turn 1, medium tyres v softs. I tell you what, folks, keep it with us. You're going to be in for a hellacious ride. First light, second light, third light, fourth light, the fifth light. And it's pedal to the metal, go, 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 go! And Thomas Ronha gets a nice jump, but so does Wilson Hughes. What about the movements in behind? Danny Beresne getting into the mix as well. But side by side between Wilson Hughes and Thomas Ronha, it's Hughes on top. Wilson Hughes takes the lead. Danny Beresne in third. He goes in behind the AlphaTauri. It's a double McLaren switch up towards the top end. It's Beresne. Beresne into second as well. Hughes on top. Beresne in second, Ronha in third, Louis Welsh in fourth place, Danfield.
Yeah, and that couldn't have been a worse start for Thomas Ronha, being jumped by both of the McLaren drivers. He's got his teammate on his inside. Louis Welch goes to the podium positions, and now Carter Lundy is looking to feel the pressure as he goes up the inside. Oh, nudges Ronha out of the way, who's lost a number of positions. Could be looking to make it a fourth as they fly onto this back straight here. It's actually Christoph Zeller going up the inside and getting mixed with both of the Alfa Romeos, as down the inside goes Zeller, the Hungarian driver, and towards turn number 11. Carter Lundy looks to try and follow through around the outside of Ronha in towards turn number 12. Can he make the move? Stick on the brakes at turn number 13. He can't quite just yet, but off the exit here, he's utilising the fresh softs to get on by the Williams driver, the Alpha Tauri driver, who's gone from first to sixth in one lap.
I gotta say, he is coming down, he's tumbling down. Perigny has just overtaken him for that P6 spot. Wilson Hughes with the fastest lap of the race so far, as you would expect, a 30.1 to boot. I mean, what a hero to zero situation, and Benzabo Connie wants a piece of the action. Down the inside now alongside Thomas Ronha out of turn 1, and the Red Bull has usurped the Alpha Tauri. It is Benzabo Connie now up into P7. Extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. You can see they're now in behind. Ronha has lost a huge amount of places, 8 positions now. He's now in P8, 7 positions lost. It's not a pretty picture for the AlphaTauri here downfield.
It's been a terrible start by the standards of Thomas Ronha, and arguably by the standards of anyone. It's going to be so difficult for these first few laps for him to get back into those positions, especially since the DRS train is going to begin to form. But once those soft tyres begin to die off, and they die off pretty quick around a high tyre wear circuit like Bahrain, he is going to phase into this Grand Prix. He's just got to be patient and try and stick with these guys as best as he can. But at the top of the order, it is delight for McLaren. They're 1 and 2 at the moment. Wilson Hughes leading from Bahrain.
He certainly is. I'll tell you, another man who is looking to make moves is Duncan Hoffland, right on the rear of Brendan Lee. And he's been tracking that Ferrari now for a little bit of time, and may choose to open up the door here. Of course, both of them on medium tyres. That Mercedes has not left that rear end as they make their way down the stretch now, down the home straight. The Mercedes now, will he choose to use the overtake? I think he's got it pressed as he now heads down towards turn 1. Will Duncan Hoffland look to move ahead? Not this time. Brendan Lee goes defensive, blocks off the approach as Alessio Di Capua now side by side with Thomas Ronha. Ronha down again downfield, down into P9. Obviously there is a difference, a stark difference in pace between the mediums and the soft tyres, and you would expect the mediums to come into fruition, but Thomas Ronha doesn't want to lose too many places because that will put him on the back foot. And now Tara Buchan has a go.
Yeah, I mean, Ronha, he had the advantage over the other alt-strat runners by being so far up the order. He's lost every single one of those positions. He's now just got Luke Smith in behind him, who started in P11. So he's lost a number of positions, 9 to be exact. So many positions, so many lost at this point, and it is very unfortunate for Thomas Ronha, but he is going to phase into this race later on when the alt strat comes into play, and it is going to be so much quicker than the strategy of the top 9 at the moment, so you can't quite count him out at the moment, but for the time being it is not looking good. It's looking bleak for Ronha.
It certainly is. He does not want to be left in this position for too much longer, because it will land him in an exposed situation. Luke Smith is only half a second behind. Now this will be a true judge of pace, because of course Luke Smith being on the mediums as well, that will certainly give us an indicator as to whether Thomas Ronha has lost pace for another reason altogether. But we'll have to keep you certainly up to date, folks. Matthias van Erven has left the session, so he's having an issue. Hopefully it's not terminal, but he has left the session, so we'll have to keep our eyes peeled. His car is still going around the track. Keep you posted, folks at home. Louis Welch getting closer to the back of Danny Beresne, so you've got still the 2 McLarens and Louis Welch. I have to say, give credit to the Pat man. He's over 1.1 seconds clear of Carter Lundy right now.
Yeah, of course, the 2 Alfa Romeos have just swapped positions in towards turn number 1. But Carter Lundy's not going to be pleased that he's outside of the DRS range of Louis Welch. It's going to be difficult for him to defend from his teammate. If that is the case, if he can't get within that 1 second window that he needs, we'll see if he gets the DRS onto this back straight, and that is not the case, so he's going to fall into the trap laid by his teammate, who's actually beginning to lose time and could be at the mercy of Simon Perigny on lap number 4. Of course, these drivers don't want to be overtaking too much and burning up their rubber, because of course they want to go as long as they can to have the superior pace later on in the Grand Prix, where all really matters. Of course, tyre conservation is so crucial around this track, but it's still Wilson Hughes leading, and Simon Perigny looks to get to the rear of Christoph Zeller. He doesn't want to overtake into turn number 14, and I'd imagine, George, he's going to utilise the DRS to just go on the attack of the Alfa Romeo.
He certainly will. Perigny looking very, very pacey. Comes up to the rear of Christoph Zeller, side by side now. Down the home straight, the Alpine. Well, he's going to look to make the move. Nice and easy now in towards turn 1. It is going to be Simon Perigny up into P5. He splits the two Alfa Romeos and will now seek Carter Lundy, who of course now has managed to get back in within DRS and Louis Welch. And there's a little bit of a closeness in gaps now between the top three. And Carter Lundy has managed to bring himself into that fight as well. So we've got back to business as usual up at the top end. Thomas Ronha as well, incidentally, sticking within DRS to Andre Tarabukin. So there is still help, well, certainly still hope for the reverse strategy yet here downfield.
I do believe so. I think the Alt Strat is very potent around this circuit, and it just needs a little bit of patience. But if they can keep within DRS range and not get dropped by the soft runners, who still, I'd say at this point, got the superior tyre, then they're going to be in a good position later on in this race, provided they can keep up with them for this stage. And Thomas Ronha is doing a very, very good job of that. He's just about 7/10 off the rear of Andrei Tarabukin, and if as long as he stays in that DRS range of 1 second, then I'd say he's in a good position coming in towards the rest of this race, as Danny Beresley at the top of the order looks to be getting closer than he has been before on the back of Wilson Hughes. I wonder if they want to swap around down at McLaren. Number 12 and number 13 following in tandem. Here comes Beresley. We could see a move for the lead, as there he goes. Wilson Hughes does not want to fight that whatsoever. It is now Danny Beresley clearing his teammate and moves into P1 in towards turn number 1, and there it is. It is Beresley ahead of Hughes.
Certainly is. The Scotsman making way for the Hungarian as they make their way out of turn 3. It's Beresley on top. In behind as well, Louis Welch, who is having a great race so far and currently sits in P3. Had a gargantuan jump off the line and certainly started tapping on the rear of the McLarens. It looked at one point that Wilson Hughes was extremely exposed, as much as Thomas Ronha was, who of course started on the medium tyres, very quickly got certainly ate up by those on the softs. Of course, once one of the soft drivers made moves on Thomas Ronha, the rest had to follow suit. They could not afford to be stuck behind that of the AlphaTauri, because of course you lose too much time. You run the risk of losing DRS, and that will put you in a very precarious position coming into the pit stop phase. So while Thomas Ronha is getting overtaken by these drivers, it's in his interest to work with them so he can stay within DRS, so they can use the DRS to stay in touch with the likes of Danny Beresley. Therefore, he is going to have to use his strategy to make the most of it and get that P1 back. So it's going to be a huge test now for Thomas Ronha to make sure his strategy does come and work out for him. We'll have to wait and see whether it does or not, folks. Keep it with us in the live chat. Danny Beresley still leads, though, half a second the lead ahead of Wilson Hughes, with Louis Welch in behind as well, managing to bring that gap into that midpoint 3/10 of a second mark as they come down towards turn 1. Getting closer again, Wilson Hughes choosing not to make the move. He sees no point in doing that right now. May as well stick behind Danny Beresley and utilise the DRS.
And we've seen our first proper retirement of the day. Will Lewis comes into the pit lane and he stops the car, so that is the Mercedes out of this race. Unfortunate to see this early on. I don't believe he had any inherent issues, so I wonder what has gone wrong for Will Lewis there, but that is him out of this race. And I'd imagine, George, that at the top of the order, Louis Welch going to be feeling some frustrations following in behind these two McLarens, because if he wants to get by, these guys can just slipstream and DRS off each other, work together and score the maximum points today. As I'm just looking at the resource that they've got. Danny Beresley got 80% in the battery, Wilson Hughes 65, Louis Welch only 44. So at the moment it seemingly is looking like advantage McLaren.
It is, but for how long? Because of course the big test is going to be when of course when the soft tyres pit. They'll be moving on to a different set altogether, and then of course you've got those on the mediums that can carry on, of course, and that is when Thomas Ronha can unleash the full power and potential of his AlphaTauri. Of course the big question is how much ERS is he conserving? I'd imagine he's conserving a lot of it to use it later on. What we can confirm is, folks, that Will Lewis has indeed retired. He's the sole retirement, as Dan has just said. Of course, Matthias van Urban's car is still out on track. We still haven't had word as to whether he's come back into the session, as now Wilson Hughes moves back into the lead of the race and goes ahead of his teammate. And as you quite rightly predicted, Danfield, the two McLarens are indeed in cahoots, working together.
And rightly so. I mean, you're not allowed to slipstream and DRS each other in qualifying, but in the race it is fair game to be working together as teammates, and I really do like that these guys have got that freedom to work together as they're just taking turns leading this race. Of course, being the car in second position means that you're not using your tyres as much and you don't have to utilise the battery, and of course you get the luxury of DRS, so taking turns to do that is sort of the most fair thing for the McLarens, and it's just a few laps in front and then they swap around, so we'll see that for a good few laps in this race. But considering they're not pushing too hard, it's going to be pushing everyone back into each other later on in this race, and that is going to work out for the medium runners because Thomas Ronha has been able to claw back that 7/10 deficit. He's now about 3/10 back from Andrei Tarabukin, and I'd say those medium tyres are beginning to come into gear and probably are quicker than the softs at this point on lap number 8.
Yeah, Simon Perigney, who we're currently riding on board with, he's been chipping at the rear of Carter Lundy's Alfa Romeo. They now make their way in towards turn 14 and 15. Louis Welsh getting closer and closer to Danny Perezde. Managed to get within 0.2 of a second for a moment. Into the pit lane comes Carter Lundy. An early pit stop. He'll be the first to make the jump. That's a very bold move there from the Alfa Romeo there, Danfield.
Yeah, I mean, that is the undercut coming up from him. Meanwhile, Thomas Ronha is beginning to make some moves. He gets by on Andrei Tarabukin, so I'd firmly say that the medium runners are the quickest tyres, and I'd also confirm that the undercut, now that it's been triggered, that we'll see some more activity down in the pit lane, probably from the likes of Perigney, Zeller, Zavakoni, and these guys who have a bit less to lose than the likes of Hughes, Bereshne and Welch. They're going to be taking the gamble, going for the undercut and seeing if they can make up some track position on lap number 9.
Yeah, absolutely. Here we're running on board with Thomas Ronha, now coming out of turn 8. Fresh from the move on Andrei Tarabukin, makes his way in towards turn 10 and sweeping into the next left-hander. Right in behind Alessio Di Capua, running a little wide, takes all the curbage and hangs on to that curb as well, does not move from it. Makes his way up now towards turn 11, sweeps in on the left-hand side and will make his way up towards turn 12 now, around this next right-hander. There you can see the Aston Martin of Alessio Di Capua. Now let's see how weak those softs are now, because those mediums are now starting to look menacing. And get the feeling that Thomas Ronha is asking his car to turn on the style now, given the fact now that all the soft tyres are pitting. It's time for him to push and then effectively get that advantage during the pit stop phase. Let's keep our eyes peeled. More and more cars bailing into the pit lane, and one of them being the padman Louis Welsh. So Perigney jumps up into third, Zeller fourth, Zabo Connie up into fifth. Here comes now more moves in behind. Incoming now with Luke Smith and Simon Shooter round the outside now. Here is, well, looks to be Simon Shooter trying to make a move here on Luke Smith, who defends it brilliantly. A very, very opportunistic manoeuvre there from Luke Smith, but again showing that he does have a lot of pace up in the top 10. And I have to say, Tarabukin, he's going to be watching nervously in behind right now.
Tarabukin is the first on the hit list of all of these medium runners who are really beginning to become the dominant forces in this race, despite not having track position at this point. And I can confirm, just looking on the timing tower, Carter Lundy has been able to undercut Louis Welch. So the undercut seemingly is very powerful around this track, and so that spells some worries for the likes of Wilson Hughes and Danny Berejne, because that is only a 1 lap difference between the Alpha Tauri and the Alfa Romeo. We'll get the feeling that the likes of Hughes and Berejne, Perigney, Zeller, Zapaconi, all these soft runners need to pit at some point, especially since they've got Thomas Ronha in behind, who, by the way, George, is looking menacing on the rear of Alessio Di Capua.
Yeah, he certainly is. Ronha now starting to unleash the beast. There we can see as we ride on board, he'll have his opportunity heading around this final couple of bends, and as you can see from the ERS, he is using it all, folks. Opens up the DRS here now on Alessio Di Capua as he now hugs onto the rear wing, as he now ploughs down towards turn 1. Big opportunity here from the Alpha Tauri. Is he going to spring it? Not just yet. He's going to try maybe leading down towards turn 4, right on the rear, almost attached to the rear wing of that Cognizant rear wheel. Luke Smith's retired a DNF. Now, I'm not sure if that was in the pit lane, but there are yellow flags on the main straight. Interesting stuff there, Dan.
He's retired in the pit lane, and I've just been on board with the Alpine. I've seen that he has unfortunately sustained some wing damage, so he decided to call it quits, and that is his day done. And yeah, it's really unfortunate that Luke Smith is out of this race. Meanwhile, though, Carter Lundy and Louis Welch looking to do battle, and Lundy comes out on top this time by.
Yeah, Wilson Hughes on a fresh set of medium tyres as well is actually coming behind both of them, so the undercut has worked massively in a sense that they've managed to certainly get past the McLarens, of course. Danny Beresne is going to be fodder for them as well. Of course, Wilson Hughes, not ideal for him to be stuck in this traffic, but at the same time, he would have preferred to be ahead of the likes of Carter Lundy and Louis Welch. They're certainly going to make his life very, very difficult. Carter Lundy now 9 seconds off Dylan Warren, who is currently sat in 10th place. Further up, Thomas Ronha once again looking to make moves. I'm sure he's going to try and eat up Alessio Di Capua now as they make their way down through towards the final couple of bends. Around this next right-hander at turn 14 and 15 as well. And indeed, they peel off into the pit lane. Alessio Di Capua, as well as Ben Jabo, Connie in the pit lane, and Danny Beresne as well. So Thomas Ronha now in the lead of the race. In comes Simon Shooter and Brendan Lee, both of those squabbling in second place. Amazing stuff indeed. 3 cars in the pit lane, no others boxing, everyone now on medium tyres.
Oh, something's happened to Wilson Hughes. He's gone off at turn number 14. Something has gone wrong for the McLaren driver, and he's going to be pulling into the pits. Oh no, I don't know what's happened for Wilson Hughes, but it looks to be disastrous for the McLaren. He was going slowly out of the final corner, and they're getting a front wing prepared for him, and that is, I'd say, his day completely in tatters, and I really feel for him because he was on for such a good race.
He certainly was. Lucas Blakely up into 5th place as well. Now, he's had a gargantuan rise. If you have a look at the details here, folks, Blakely, as things stand, obviously we haven't seen the strategies 100% unfurled just yet because, of course, those who started on mediums will be eventually applying their trade onto the softs, I would imagine. Lucas Blakely 15 places up off the start of the race, so he'll be looking to try and hold on to some of those at least, maybe finishing rapidly as well. Let's keep our eyes on the Scotsman as he now rounds the next right-hander, plugged into the rear of Duncan Hoffland's Mercedes. Both of these cars Mercedes powered, of course. Aston Martin not enjoying the easiest of seasons at this moment in time for the 2022 Formula 1 World Championship. And of course Sebastian Vettel and Lance Stroll driving for them as now we watch Duncan Hoffland and Lucas Blakely down this home stretch past the paddock on the right hand side. Lucas Blakely just having a little look to the inside, opened up the door slightly, but the Scotsman not able to apply a move just yet. Of course, there's still very much a train between all of these drivers. All of them have DRS on the likes of Thomas Ronha, who leads this contingent, leads the race in fact, as we now have the side-on cam of Lucas Blakely's car. They round turn 4, still no moves at the top end. Nothing has really changed downfield, but certainly there'll be more pit stops now soon. The top 7 will be looking to box, and they'll be on the soft tyres.
Yeah, I'd imagine they're going to pit around about lap number 18, 19, maybe 20 if they're feeling lucky on this set of the mediums. And it's Thomas Ronha, Brendan Lee, Simon Shooter, Duncan Hoffland, Alfie Butcher as well, having a very quiet race. All these guys are going to phase into the race later on. Dylan Warren's had an issue further down the order, and he's gone off down at turn number 8. Yeah, he's just spun. I don't think he's got any damage there. And Dylan Warren, he's gone off here. He's letting Jonah Martins go through. And yeah, no visual damage on that Williams, but a lot of these guys I'm noticing seemingly cracking under the pressure. There's been a lot of incidents in these last few laps.
Well, we did say Bahrain is tenacious for it when you have certainly a very, very loose pedal. Wilson Hughes has retired. We've lost Wilson Hughes. That's the McLaren down as well. I hate to say it, Dan, but I think you cursed him.
I went for Lundy in the end. hey, he's the net leader, so you know, who's laughing?
No, it was definitely... Oh, here comes Lucas Blakely now, side by side with Duncan Hoffland, down in towards turn 1, the Aston Martin. Now side by side with the Mercedes. Duncan Hoffland, is he going to make waves for the Scottish esports driver? No, it's going to be Blakely out on top, and now wiggles just the rear end slightly to gain traction on the car in towards turn 4. Blakely on top ahead of Duncan Hoffland. P4 now. A great move indeed. He left it late, heading in towards turn 1, made it stick. And that's how you make moves downfield.
Of course, Lucas Blakely, the man who beat Sebastian Vettel. I think he likes to be recognised for, of course, in the ROC a few months ago. I believe that was in January around that time. And he's having what is a relatively quiet race by his standards. He's still doing very, very well, and he's looking to make the moves potentially on time and shoot. So I think he's beginning to crank it up another gear, because in towards turn 11 now on the back of the Red Bull car. We'll see what he can do. He's relatively low on the battery. It's a very fast circuit, not too many heavy braking zones. They're all quite shallow around here, so it's very difficult to charge up the battery. A lot of these drivers seemingly low on their resources, but Lucas Blakely getting close in towards turn number 14. Oh, he had a half look up the inside into the braking zone, maybe trying to scare Time and Shooter into going defensive. See what kind of run he gets in towards the first corner following in the DRS train. It's so difficult to make a move, but if anyone can make it, it's Brendan Lee. He's in towards the first corner. They go. Thomas Ronha could defend from Brendan Lee as well as in towards the braking zone. No moves being made.
No, not at all. I just want to say, Dan, looking at the top four, because they're all so tight to Thomas Ronha, he's effectively handed a potential for a race win here for Brendan Lee as well. What about Lucas Blakely? All of these guys on the old Strat have now effectively been handed a lifeline at this point in the race. Once they box, they get the soft tyres on, they'll be quicker than the other drivers who started on softs, who are now on mediums. I tell you what, this race is far from over. It has just been lit up. We have got plenty of drivers in with a chance of winning this. Lucas Blakely could very much pull off this last to first.
I mean, that would make for a very nice YouTube title at the pinnacle of league racing, doing a last to first challenge. What a lovely video that would be for him. But for the moment, he is in P4. Yet to pit in this race. I need to look up the pit lane loss around here, but I'd imagine they're going to come out around about where De Capua, Tarabukin, Connie, all these guys who are slightly back off of the rear of the top guys. You know, Lundy, Danny Beresnay, Simon Perigny, and Louis Welch as well. So, yeah, it's just a matter of time of waiting until they actually come to the pits, which I'd say is relatively soon, given that we saw some of the initial stops from the soft runners at around about the lap 11, lap 12 mark, so they went pretty late into this race. As in towards turn number 1 they head, it seems like Brendan Lee wants to make a move up the inside in towards turn number 1. He dives it and he gets past Thomas Ronha, running slightly deep. Oh wow, Lucas Blakely as well.
Incredible, Lucas Blakely going for that move. He saw Brendan make it earlier on, and now I think he wants a piece of the pie. What about as well Thomas Ronha? In comes Simon Shooter down the inside now at turn 4. 3 wide now in between Blakely, Shooter, and of course as well as they make their way through. Thomas Ronha managing to save his own bacon there. It got so tight between the three. A late move here from Blakely, a Blakely bomber in towards turn 8, side by side now. They climb, leading down towards turn 9. The AlphaTauri, the Aston Martin, double A in towards turn 10, still side by side, but Blakely, brilliant Blakely, he's done it, he's into second place. What a switch up here, Danfield.
That was incredible battling from all three of them there, keeping it nice and clean. Slight bits of contact is what you like to see. As they say, rubbing is racing, but Brendan Lee is laughing at the moment. He's stretched his advantage up the road to almost out of DRS range. I'd imagine we're going to see some more battling between these guys, because I don't think Thomas Ronha is going to take that mugging lying down, as here they come in towards turn number 14, where they've got the DRS straight right in front of them. Brendan Lee leading from Lucas Blakely, but it's Thomas Ronha in behind as Brendan Lee dives in towards the pit lane. So now it's Lucas Blakely leading in towards the first corner, but he's got DRS, and that could mean that Ronha can't make this move, as into the braking zone they go. Ronha had the opportunity to go for the move, but he didn't quite decide to go for the dive bomb. Possibly on the run up towards turn number 4, we could see a move being made as Brendan Lee comes out of the pit lane on the set of the soft compound of tyre, and he's triggered the undercut.
God, this could be massive. But of course, Brendan Lee looking to chase for a second win in a row. Now, what would that mean for his confidence heading into the brand new F1 22 game? Of course, Lucas Blakely now on top, but for how long? Ronha is right on his rear and must be hurting from that assault earlier on in the race when they came together 3 wide. Heading in towards turn 5, 6 and 7 is something that you should not be doing for sure, because it gets tight enough side by side with just 2 cars, but throwing 3 into the mix. goodness me, it certainly was a test of bravery, and Ronha had to pull himself out of it. Certainly Brendan Lee came off the fortunate winner in that situation, but now we can see that Lucas Blakely on top now leads the way. Obviously after Brendan Lee made his pit stop, no doubt they've got to respond, because of course with Brendan Lee making the move onto the soft tyres when he did, of course Jonah Martin's on softs as well as Matthias van Evert, but Brendan Lee now on soft tyres. He is only 2.5 seconds off Benjabo Connie. Now let's keep our eyes peeled, folks, because now this is where we've got to measure the pit stop times. Lucas Blakely staying out. He's got no intention of boxing at this point, but Thomas Ronha will indeed look to make a move perhaps as they come down towards turn 1, or is he going to stay within DRS? No move just yet. Blakely holds on to P1 here in lap 18 of 29. 11 laps left downfield.
Yeah, and it's key to note, George, Brendan Lee's got a 5-second time penalty. He's sped in the pit lane, which is a rookie mistake, and I think he's going to be kicking himself about that one. So I'd imagine that the likes of Blakely, Ronha and Shooter aren't feeling too much pressure from the Ferrari driver, who has unfortunately made a textbook error, I think you can call it. But now that leaves Lucas Blakely in one of the best positions in this race. He is essentially the lead alt-strat runner, unless Duncan Hoffland can undercut them massively. And I'd imagine they're going to feel the pressure from him and decide to come in at the end of this lap. But it is still the Aston Martin car. He's officially, at this point, for the time being, on lap number 18. He's made the first challenge work. He started in P20. He now leads this Grand Prix as he climbs up the hill and towards turn number 11. He's been fighting with Thomas Ronha as well for quite some time in this race, and once these guys can catch up to the medium runners who pitted at a much earlier point in this race, it's going to be a fantastic ride towards the end. But we do need to look for a potential pit stop here, because those medium tyres, 17 laps, are not going to be feeling any good whatsoever. As in towards the box, are any of them going to dive? It is Lucas Blakely and Thomas Ronha. Timon Shooter staying out on circuit. Alfie Butcher also making the stop. So the some of the top 5 all coming into the pit lane now.
Yeah, it certainly is. We're just going to keep our eyes peeled now, folks, because of course, big opportunity for Brendan Lee. Now, where is Brendan Lee? He's opened up the DRS and he's on soft tyres. Set a fastest lap as well. Brendan Lee, can he hold on to his potentially net P1 position in a sense? That is what he'll be given. Oh, he sends it. Oh, getting so close to the front end of Benjabo Connie. At this moment in time, 3/10 the gap between him and Benjabo Connie right now. I said net lead position. He's not in the net lead because, of course, in behind Louis Welsh, in fact, because he's already boxed. He's on 8-lap old medium tyres. That means, by my reckoning, Louis Welsh is leading this Grand Prix as net leader.
Yeah, that is the case. He is the net leader, but he's got a bunch of angry soft runners in behind him as Brendan Lee dives to the inside of Benjabo Connie in towards turn number 8. Not much defence could be made by the Red Bull driver, given the fact that he's on a slightly worn out medium compound of tyre, and this is going to be a shooting range, I'd say, for Brendan Lee. He's going to have a fun time hunting the likes of Tara Buchan and De Capua, who are just in front of him. Then he's got a bit of clear air towards Christoph Zeller and the rest of the top 5, as in towards turn number 12. Can he try and make a move on Andrew Tarabukin into 13? He's got to go up the inside here in the braking zone, late on the brakes, and there it is. He makes the move stick, and he's into P8 now. And Brendan Lee, he's having a whale of a time.
He certainly is on soft tyres at this point. This is where the race is at its funnest, because of course it's just a case of getting yourself through some of these drivers on used medium tyres like a knife through butter. He opens up the DRS now, does Brendan Lee. Timon Shooter is coming to the pit lane, so they will all skip past him right now. Here comes Brendan Lee now, side by side with Alessio Di Capua, and will go past the Italian. We've also got some moves in behind as well with Andre Tarabukin and Benjabo Connie, who now manages to hold back the force of Tarabukin and stays in P8 and is now chasing on Alessio Di Capua. But look at Brendan Lee skipping clear there of that list of cars in behind him and getting closer as well to the likes of Christoph Zeller, already breaking in by half a second to the gap between him and Christoph Zeller. So he is making some serious moves here, Brendan Lee.
Brendan Lee, he's really on form on that fresh set of the softs, and this is why you could not count out all of the runners who were eliminated in the early parts of qualifying. Brendan Lee qualified in P13, if I'm not mistaken, behind Timon Shooter and Luke Smith, and outside the top 10. Now he's hunting down the top 5 and could be on for a potential podium on circuit. Of course, It is unfortunate that he's picked up that 5-second time penalty, but these guys, they like to go for glory. They want to make the moves and they want to win on track because it showed that on the day they were the fastest driver. And now, George, he is within 1 second of Christoph Zeller. He's going to have that DRS down the main straight. He's going to be on the attack on the top 5 very, very soon.
They're going to be quaking in their boots up in the top 5 to see the two-time F1 Esports World Champion making his way across the line and setting a fastest lap as well of a 27.8. Lucas Blakely now does the same, and as you can see, there's a lot of squabbling going on in behind as well with Di Capua and Ben Sabo Connie coming side by side. Simon Perigny also in the midst of a fight. He's up into P4 with Christoph Zeller in behind him as well. There's Brendan Lee, who has joined the leaders up at the top end on soft tyres, no less. That I tell you what, that alternate strat is coming, or is becoming fruitful for him right now.
Yeah, and he looks to try and make a move on Christoph Zeller. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes up the inside, and there it is, P5 for Brendan Lee. These guys have been fighting throughout the first sector, and they're completely shooting themselves in the foot because it just opens a door for Brendan Lee, who is now within the top 5 fight, and he's looking onto the back of Simon Perini. Can he make this move stick in towards turn number 11? It's a big ask to go for a move into this corner as it's pretty fast 4th gear. He goes up the inside anyway. He doesn't care, and now he's into P4. He's got Danny Berejney in his crosshair, former teammates in the F1 Esports Series, and now the Ferrari driver looking to do some damage.
Yeah, Danny Berejney, you can see behind him, former teammate at Mercedes, of course. Lucas Blakely making moves as well. He's side by side with Tara Buchan and looking to do exactly what Brendan Lee's doing right now. Brendan Lee himself making some serious moves here. P3 is on the table because he's now coming to the rear end of the McLaren, donned by the likes of Danny Berejney. There you can see them now. Certainly Brendan Lee going now for the throat here of Danny Berejney in towards turn 1. Gets it done near enough before the corner. Can he do so? Certainly Danny Berejney has got a lot of ice in his veins, but not enough to keep Brendan Lee from making the overtake. P3 and a podium on the table for Brendan Lee here downfield.
I think Brendan Lee tagged the back of Carter Lundy there as he went for the dive bomb. As meanwhile, further back behind, Lucas Blakely looks to try and make a move on his teammate in towards the downhill right-hander at turn number 5, and he gets that done. Fantastic from the Scotsman. He's now up into P7. He's got 2 seconds until he's onto the back of Christoph Zeller. He's not too far from the rear of Brendan Lee as well. At the moment, actually, he is effectively the lead soft runner, given that penalty being applied to Brendan Lee, who is right within the wheel tracks of Carter Lundy as they file in towards turn number 11. I wouldn't be surprised, George, if he goes for the move as soon as possible.
Not at all. Oh, he made a mistake. That was close. That was so close. I tell you what, that inside curve is lethal at turn 12. But Louis Welsh still leads, though, at this moment in time. Carter Lundy, who has really fought valiantly, performed absolutely superbly in qualifying, is now got to look behind him to find another Ferrari engine right behind him here, and surely it's writing on the wall for Carter Lundy. He's got the DRS enabled now as Brendan Lee makes the move on the inside. Louis Welsh also going defensive down the inside, trying to hold his position side by side now between Carter Lundy and Brendan Lee, but Carter Lundy with his defensive exploits holds on to P2, at least for now. Here comes a 2-time champ, Brendan Lee, down the inside at turn 4. It's got to be all sewn up. Is it sewn up? It is sewn up. Brendan Lee in 2nd place.
Signed, sealed and delivered for Brendan Lee, but fair play to Carter Lundy for putting up quite a fight. I do have confirmation, unfortunately, to put a little bit of a dampener on this. Brendan Lee has got wing damage. It's only 13%. It is very minor, and he's still good to keep on going in this race, but it's going to be that little bit harder to fend off Lucas Blakely, who's now well within the fight for the top positions, and he's right behind Christoph Zeller on the grippier soft tyres. He goes diving in towards turn number 11. The Alfa Romeo leaving him space. Lucas Blakely making that move stick, and now he's on to the rear of Simon Perini. Can he go up the inside in towards turn number 13? You bet he can, as that is 2 corners and 2 moves made for Lucas Blakely on his return to PSGL. You'd think after such a long time out of this league, he'd be all washed up, but he is in fine form today, and now he's into P5.
Look, Dan, I don't want to say anything, but a Cinderella story could be on the table. Louis Welsh has broken DRS on Brendan Lee up at the top end on medium tyres. Could it be? Could it be? As now Lundy goes to the move on Brendan Lee. In comes Danny Perezne as well, side by side here with the Ferrari as they head out now of turn 3 now. The Hungarian looking for vengeance as they make their way down towards turn 4. Side by side, more action in the back. Lucas Blakely also making moves here as they head around turn 4 as well. Still now, Lucas Blakely gets ahead of Brendan Lee, and now hot on the tail of one Danny Perezne. This is kicking off here. A dive bomb from Blakely. Blakely bomber. He's into the podium places. Extraordinary, Danfield.
And Brendan Lee, I think he's conceding these positions are really unlucky for him, and I do feel for him at this point. Meanwhile, 9th place driver, I believe it's Duncan Hoffland, has got some damage, so that is going to be difficult for him in this race. But I think we need to be looking at the fight for the podiums. It is Lucas Blakely on 4-lap-old soft compound of tyre. They are going to be in spectacular form at the moment.
Look at his ERS. Look at his ERS. It's low. It's so low. He is pushing. He is really pushing. Lucas Blakely right on the tail of Lundy. Dan, has he got what it takes to get to the end?
Oh, it's going to be difficult for Lucas Blakely. He's got a lot less in the battery than Lundy, but we'll see what he can do in DRS conditions. He's in the wheel tracks of Lundy, who's using the battery to stay ahead of him in towards turn number 1. Louis Welch is a sitting duck on this main straight, as can any of them go for the move. Blakely goes for the dive bomb. He makes the move stick. Can he try and fight him now around the outside through turns 2 and 3 as he's off the circuit and onto the curbing? And Lundy once again trying to defend his position in towards turn number 4 down this back straight. Can Blakely go for the move? Indeed he can. Dive bomb made. He gets that done. Perezne follows through and is P2 now for Lucas Blakely. He just got 0.6 of a second until he's onto the rear of Louis Welch, and the last to first challenge is truly on here, George.
We have seen certainly some dynamic finishes, and certainly I have in my time at PSGL, but nothing will certainly compare to this effort here from Lucas Blakely at the back of the grid for the start of the race. He is now nursing that Aston Martin to the front. Big chance here now to usurp that of the padman Louis Welch. Heartbreak here, but at the same time a Cinderella story of sorts as well. Here they come now up through towards turn 12. Louis Welch, who is now looking right in behind, can see the green menace that is the Aston Martin right on his tail. Dan, he's got to go for it. He's got to go for it. Louis Welch now has got to do everything he can to hold back the F1 Esports talent of Lucas Blakely. And tell you what, it's nail-biting stuff.
Yeah, here they go onto the main straight to begin lap number 26. Louis Welch just defenseless here. This might be the easiest move all day for Lucas Blakely, not even partaking in qualifying. He's just got his rig this week and he returns to PSGL starting in P20. He now leads this race with 4 more laps to go. What a performance from the Scotsman, and if he can hold on to this, well then fair play to him, as his teammate De Capo going off in the background. But what a race it's been for Lucas Blakely.
That just goes to show the difference. If you want to be the best, you've got to execute like the best. Lucas Blakely has just pulled off an extraordinary performance with still 3 laps left to go, folks. We have still got plenty of time left in this race for a surprise package to happen. I mean, you've got to give credit to Louis Welch as well. I mean, 2nd place now. He was leading for a good stint of this run in this race. He cannot hold his head any higher than this. Louis Welch, the man on the pad, extraordinary talent, certainly to undertake racing at this level. It blows my mind, honestly. Danny Perezne in 3rd place as well. Lundy, another great performance. Thomas Ronha is currently in 5th place, and he is also looking to make moves. Let's not forget about the AlphaTauri that is also trying to gain on Lundy, but I get the feeling that his ERS is failing him here, Danfield.
Yeah, I think so. He's very low on the battery at the moment, 9% for Thomas Ronha, and he's just not close enough to the rear of Lundy. And I'd imagine that the deficit between the mediums and the softs at the moment 7 laps is definitely the point where they begin to really drop off. They can still last to the end, most certainly, but the AlphaTauri is going to struggle to keep that pace. And we're actually seeing Lucas Blakely is beginning to lose time to Louis Welch. He was about a second ahead just this time last lap. Now he's only 8/10 ahead. So Louis Welch, it still could be on for him.
It still could be. If he stays within DRS, then he always has a chance, that's for sure. It only takes one mistake. We've seen a lot of drivers losing control on the curves, especially around turn 12. It got so close. I mean, we saw Brendan Lee do it earlier on, lose the front end of the car. Alessio Di Capua, we've lost him as well. That's another retirement here in this race. We're down to 15 cars, if you include, of course, the ghosting car of Matthias van Herven. So we've lost quite a few here at this race. Oh, getting so close, Thomas Ronha, as now he tries to look to improve on his position at P5. Carter Lundy currently in 4th. Danny Beresne still in 3rd. Louis Welch, unfortunately, out of DRS. Oh, Ronha tried to find the gap, but Carter Lundy shutting the door late on, last minute, and that is only going to pile on the frustration here for Thomas Ronha, who looked to have it all sewn up in terms of strategy. Danny Beresne, I tell you what, he's going for P2 as well, and he will have DRS on a stricken Louis Welch. Oh, this is unfair, Louis, as now Danny Beresne moves ahead of him into 2nd place. A superb drive as well from the Hungarian, but you cannot take anything away from the presence of Lucas Blakely. But I tell you what, Beresne's tyres, will they be feeling better than the softs at this point downfield?
I think the more defining factor is the ERS situation. Lucas Blakely's just got 11%. Danny Beresne has 45 for the last 2 laps of this race. He can push hell for leather and still be able to keep up with Lucas Blakely, whose soft tyres are going to begin to lose their time. So if he can just get to maybe within 5/10 of a second at the end of this next back straight, he could be well on the money to challenge Lucas in towards the last into the last lap. But Lucas Blakely's doing an incredible job of keeping him at bay. He's just about managed to pip DRS, but surely he's just not close enough to gain at a rate where Lucas Blakely is feeling any pressure, and he's done such an incredible performance. And he's not been able to play the game since F1 Esports ended, which is about 5 or 6 months. That's half a year almost without playing the F1 game, and he's still being able to put out performances like this. I really do think that on F1 2022 we will be seeing this man fighting right at the sharp end once again in both PSGL and the F1 Esports Series as he comes on to the final lap to begin it here. Is he going to be able to defend from Danny Beresne? We'll have to find out in 1.5 minutes time.
We certainly will. I have to say, what a race it's been, but do not count out Danny Beresne, who is now well within DRS. We could see a huge effort now on this final lap. Last race of season 30. I tell you what, it could be written in the stars. There's some movements in behind as well. Carter Lundy makes a move here on Duncan Hoffland as they now go side by side out of turn 4. And it is going to be Carter Lundy. In comes now Balfi Butcher, who's looking to make a name for himself. Up in towards P6 he goes. Side by side now with the Mercedes and Duncan Hoffland wheel banging now around turn 8. But no move can be made. In comes now Lucas Blakely in towards turn 10. Extraordinary drive so far. I don't think Danny Beresne quite has enough here downfield.
No, I don't believe so. I think it's going to be the last of first challenge completed for Lucas Blakely. He's just got one more sector to navigate. Danny Beresne has done all he can to close up to the rear of the Aston Martin, and maybe if he had one more lap he could have been fighting him. But in towards the last back straight, Blakely's still defending. He still feels a threat from Beresne, who's still trying into the final corner, but it's not enough as they meet the final braking zone at turn 14. Coming out of the kink at turn number 15, Blakely falls to the right hand side and he crossed the line. He wins in Bahrain on return to PSGL. He ends his season with a bang, and it is one race in the season with one win, 100% win completion. What a performance from Lucas Blakely today.
He's been without a rig for months, has not been racing on a wheel for months and months. Makes his return here for the first time at PSGL here tonight, and scoops up a victory, and not just a victory, a commanding victory. And last to first, ladies and gentlemen, unbelievable scenes here at PSGL. Extraordinary scenes. What a drive of epic proportions. The Scotsman has done it. We have seen such class finales, and surely What we want to see is Blakely v Opmeer, and that I'm sure will be coming up next season, folks. Do not miss it, of course. F1 22 is just around the corner, and one thing's for sure, Lucas Blakely v Jarno Opmeer is going to be on the table. Big congratulations as well to Danny Perezne on another strong performance as well from the front end, as well as all the other drivers who performed at the highest level and certainly came here today looking to make a name for themselves. What a race we had here, folks. There you have it. There it is, confirmed. Fastest lap to boot as well. Lucas Blakely is your winner. P20 to P1, folks. And I have to say, he did it with 3 laps to go as well. Danny Perezne in second place. Thomas Ronha, after starting pole, just wasn't to be. He got eaten up too much in the first stint. 3rd place for him. Louis Welsh in 4th. Carter Lundy in 5th. Duncan Hoffland in 6th. Alfie Butcher in 7th. And of course, Andrei Tarabukin, time and shooter in 9th. Christoph Zeller rounds out the top 10. But wow, 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 wow. I'll tell you what, folks, PSGL never ceases to amaze. I've witnessed some incredible things. I witnessed Jarno Opmeer's last to a P3 performance at Australia. If you guys remember, that was extraordinary. But we've come here tonight to Bahrain, of all places, the grand finale, and we witnessed a grand finale, didn't we? Lucas Blakely, last to a P1 podium, folks. Incredible. Dan, it doesn't get any better than that, my friend.
No, it really doesn't. I mean, that was an incredible performance from Lucas Blakely. We hardly ever get to see a last to first being executed, and he's managed to do it on his return to PSGL. And if he can carry this form over into F1 22, just imagine the fights that he's going to have in both PSGL and in F1 Esports if he chooses to race, of course, next season in season 31. I really hope that we do get to see that Aston Martin driver racing with us once again. But what a way to end off the game.
Well, I can tell you, folks, that we have got some interviews actually in, coming up now. So we'll rush over to the interview screen. We're going to bring in obviously the candidates that we want to speak to. Of course, it's a pleasure to have all these guys with us on the broadcast, and I'm pleased to be joined first of all by our race winner. It's Lucas Blakely. Lucas, I'm absolutely blown away, mate. You've been away from the rig for such a long time. You come back for one race and you pull off the unthinkable, a last to a first with 3 laps to go. That's sensational.
I'm actually speechless. Like, I genuinely do not know what to say. Like, I don't know. Like, I get asked on Monday if I wanted to do the race. I was like, sure, it's the last race. I'll start at the back. We'll have some fun. But I would never have expected. Never ever would have expected this. Like, I'm genuinely speechless.
Well, it looked on the ropes for a moment. I have to say, I mean, of course, Brendan, we'll get on to Brendan in a bit because obviously he's with us in the interview room. But, you know, it looked like he was in the driving seat to win that race today. Obviously, I think some wing damage is what affected his race. And you were there sort of stuck in P7 at that point. Obviously, you had to get yourself or marshal your way through a lot of medium tyre runners on used mediums, but still, that is no mean feat. You know, you've got to be at your very best. It looked like at one point that you might not have succeeded, but with 3 laps to go, where did that come from?
I mean, it was just persistence. I mean, through the race, I mean, I knew I was starting on the alternate strategy, so I mean, on lap 1, I knew I had to make so much progress, so I was just sending it as much as possible to make as many positions up, and that's kind of what the race was just persistence. I mean, I saw the gap to the train ahead after the pit stop was like 4-point-something seconds, and I was like, oh my days. I was like, oh, that's a big gap. So, yeah, it was just like trying to keep my head down, and if I'm going to be honest, I mean, it definitely felt like, I've not had a rig for like, I think it's nearly like 4 months or something like that now. I only finished building it on Monday, so I was just so rusty, and I mean, it took me like 10 laps to get even a rhythm of the race, and then at the end, under the pressure, I was all over the place. I was really shaky. I was really like, just please don't make a mistake. Like, I knew that I was on the verge of doing last to first, and I saw Berezny coming through in the last lap even, and even at that point I was trying to stay alert because I knew the mediums were still going to be really strong towards the end, whereas my softs were dying, so I was nervous all the way until the line, and when I got to the line, I was like, I just couldn't believe it. I can't believe it. I don't know what to to actually say, you know, I've been out of league racing for so long, I've not had a rig for so long, and just to jump in for what I thought would have been just a fun, casual send-off has turned out to be one of the most insane things I've ever got to take part in. So, I loved every second of it. Maybe apart from the last lap, but that was that was worth it. So, yeah.
I mean, it looked like, because obviously now Danny Berezne has joined us. To tell you what a goated lineup we have in this interview room right now. This is extraordinary. But yeah, certainly, it looked like Danny Berezne had your number towards the end. I mean, obviously the mediums would start to come back into fruition, I think, towards the end, because he was closing, obviously managing to get in within DRS towards the end. Was it a case that it was just, you know, just focusing 100% on what you were doing up at the front? You were trying to keep the McLaren out the back of your mind? I mean, just talk us through that final lap.
I was just trying to keep my head in the game. I mean, even from the moment I got the lead, I was just trying to put in as many, just try and keep it as clean as possible. But because I didn't know who would, you know, if somebody would get through on the softs, because I felt really, really shaky all over the place. Like when I saw Danny on the last lap, I was like, oh no. I was getting really shaky. Like when you've not raced for so long in league racing, the nerves hit really hard. So I was like, oh Lord, all the pressure is coming back. But yeah, it was. I just had to keep myself focused, like just try and keep my mind as clear as possible, and try and bring it home and just not make any mistakes, because I was just really shaky on the pedals and on the steering. I was just like, So, but yeah, GG to everyone. It was a really fun race to fight with all the battles, and it was, yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. Just, yeah, GG, amazing, just wow.
Well, I got to say, you're added to the list now of last to first. Obviously, Mr. Otmir, of course, has taken one of those himself. Jana Watmir v Lucas Blakely for the next season of PSGL, season 31 on the F1 22 game. Does that sound like an appetizing affair?
I think it does. I mean, I think I just love racing in general, you know. So whether it's against Jarno, whether it's against, you know, Brendan, Danny in the call, whether it's against anybody, it's just a pleasure to race. I mean, the racing tonight, at least on my perspective, it was just some extremely nice racing, hard wheel to wheel. I mean, it was just, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to put into like words, if that makes sense. But it was, yeah, I just look forward to the future and to have more races like this, because it was so much fun. And yeah, I couldn't have ever envisaged this. Sorry, so yeah, I look forward to the future.
Well, we definitely look forward to seeing it as well. So congratulations on a winning return as well, Lucas, and we'll look forward to hopefully seeing you next season as well.
Yeah, no problem. I'll look forward to the future and of PSGL, and hopefully racing in it as well. So take care, guys.
Cracking stuff. Thank you, Lucas. Thank you so much. Next up, we have Brendan Lee, of course, folks, the man who would unfortunately lose out towards the end. It was very unfortunate, I think, from my recollection. Of course, Brendan, you must be disappointed. It looked like it was going so well. I have to say, I had you pinned for the win at that point, but obviously it just did not happen. Was there damage towards the end?
Firstly, I think Lucas really hated that race. I think was a really disappointing race for him by the sounds of it.
Absolutely hated it, Brendan. I hated it so much.
So, but no, yeah. So I got damage on turn 1 when I was going up the inside of Daniel Berezne. To be honest, was just a unlucky situation because the two cars in front, they were fighting, and I think they were both checking up to try and get a better exit themselves. And by the time I was already on the inside of Berezne, I wasn't anticipating it. So it was just one of those unlucky moments in racing. Nothing intentional from the two cars in front. But yeah, I had wing damage from the front. And then when I saw Lewis was like leading, I was like, oh, I can help Lewis maybe get his first win. And then I saw Lucas behind me. I was like, double oh. So then I led Lucas past. But he deserved it as well because he did a good job on the strategy. But yeah, I mean, for my side, is a bit disappointing because it could have been a win. But you know what? My purpose to sign up to PSGL was to grow myself back into the previous driver I was back in like the 2017-2018 form. And I feel confident I've been able to do that. I've taken a lot of lessons away from PSGL. And yeah, I feel good.
I'd argue that you've successfully achieved that, because if you look at your performances this season, of course, scooping up another win last week, that makes it 2 wins this season. I mean, of course, that is certainly championship contender form to a degree, certainly if you're getting podiums in all your other races. It certainly feels to me that the old Brendan Lee is coming back. I mean, what about F1 22? I mean, what are the thoughts heading into a new game, a new season, different dynamics, different situations? It could be fruitful for you.
Well, I mean, I go into every season and I go into every race with the mindset to win. Doesn't matter if I'm qualifying 19th or 20th, anywhere. I want to win. But for sure, I just need to keep on the hard work behind the scenes, because the mistake I made in the previous years was I was still working really hard, but I was working inefficiently. Now I'm really focusing to work efficiently. And then you can see it on my streams. I'm having a lot more fun. If you look at my streams from, I don't know, maybe like 2020 and 2021, etc., I wasn't really having that much fun while driving. Now I'm able to bring enjoyment back into driving and do it in my way.
Yeah, so is it a case now of finding that love again for it, like you had back in 2017 and 18? And will that in turn recapture the form, do you believe?
Well, I mean, I still always loved driving, because I have the personality that if I don't love it, I won't do it. So I was still always loving driving, but I was always destroying myself mentally, internally, in the build-up to races, in the practice as well. And I've really learned the lesson of, you know, it can be a job, it can be a hobby at the same time, but also relax, give yourself the chance to enjoy stuff. And that's also my advice for junior league racers or any people looking to do sports in whatever category it might be, is eventually when you turn pro, you're going to have a lot of people put pressure on you, and you're going to have a lot of people put unnecessary, not expectations, because expectations are expected, but I think you know what I mean. They're going to have a lot of unnecessary politics, and finding good people, like I have good people within the team I have at the moment, to support you and know your characteristics on how you can perform better. That's the key.
Yeah, so I suppose now if we look ahead, obviously Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz now driving what looks to be a vastly improved Ferrari. Could we be seeing Ferrari up at the top end of F1 esports next season?
Well, I think let's do a deal. If we win, I make everyone carbonara. If we lose, then I buy everyone pineapple pizza.
That works for me. Put me on the list. I'm up for that. Congratulations, Brendan, of course, on a wonderful season. 2 wins this championship that you could be proud of. PSGL next season, are you feeling it?
Hell yeah.
Nice one. We'll look forward to seeing you. Brendan, thank you ever so much
thank
for
you
joining
so much.
us again. It's been a pleasure having you this season as well. Big thank you.
Thank you. Cheers for commentary. Ciao.
Yeah, no worries. Cheers. Take care. Last but not least, certainly, is Danny Beresney. Danny, yet again, a performance from yourself that I have to say it could have been P1 on any other day. Certainly recovering extremely well. You were thrown right into the heat of battle towards the end, but managing to fight your way through the field and also close up towards Blakely at the end. You must feel good about your performance despite coming in P2.
Yeah, first of all, congratulations for Blakely for the amazing performance, and thank you very much for the PSGL team for the organizing this season and the broadcast for yourself as well, and the other commentators who hopped in for any of the races. This was my first PSGL season, and with this P2, I came P2 in the championship. I will be 1 point ahead my McLaren teammate Barry Borumand, and to be honest, if they miss the last 3 races, that's okay. I just wanted to maximize that opportunity to gain position, so I overtook him, and yeah, I'm really happy about this P2, especially that Connor knows that I was very close to even miss this race. I only got home 10 minutes before the session, and that was all of the practice I could put into, because I just had filming whole day today and yesterday, and also just trying to maximize F1 2022. So for me, this performance was really, really good, and especially the qualifying. I was happy to start the race, from that much at the front. In the race, I probably messed up the setup a little bit. I had a higher off differential, so I had some understeer in the last turns, in the slow turns, and I just locked up my front tires too much. Was not be able to accelerate as early as I wanted, and I just used too much ERS at the last few laps, and I just lost some time. I think if I was a better driver, I would have had the chance to overtake Blakely at the end, because in the last 2 laps the soft tires were pretty much equal to my mediums, but he just did an awesome job even without ERS to make this an unreal performance coming up from back of the field to the first place, and he should be happy, and I am really happy about after all.
Yeah, I mean, second in the championship, finishing ahead, like you say, of Barry Burrowman is no mean feat. I mean, obviously, does that go to show that even when results don't go your way, it's better to keep going and keep fighting for the sake of the finale?
And I don't want to be harsh from Codemasters, but the equal cars are not equal in my opinion, because I got the McLaren. I was praying for the McLaren when Barry left for the last 3 races, and I have P1, P2, P3, and before that I only got like 2 podiums throughout the whole season, and it was not because the field was so much stronger, because okay, there was Jarno, Meer and Lundy and Barry, but even the lap times in quali are just a lot worse for me with the Ferrari, and for sure the downforce levels and the power of the car and the tire wear, the engine, everything is equal, but their geometry is different, so they feel different to drive, and on some tracks one is better than the other, and for me the Ferrari that I chose, it really didn't suit me, and I was really disappointed before the season that I didn't have a great F1 esports season, and then I even select this bad car. How am I going to get a good result out of it? But I was in top 5 in the championship all the way, and then yeah, since I got the last 3 races the McLaren, I just gained the 3 positions and came second behind the greatest of all time.
That's not bad at all, is it? Let's be honest. I mean, to come up behind Jarno Opmeer in the championship is certainly something to be proud of. Looking ahead to F1 22, you say you've had a chance to play the game. What are your thoughts and feelings about it? Do you feel positive going into a new season? How are the technicals feeling?
Yeah, so it's again a step in the right direction. I think Codemasters have made steps in the right direction pretty much every single year since 2016, in my opinion. So I'm really happy to see this momentum of them. And it's just more realistic, more harder to drive, especially in the last corner, in the slow turns, as cars don't have that much slow speed downforce, and they are also heavier. So I think the skill gap between the drivers can grow a little bit bigger than it was this year, and I feel like the F1 2019 game or F1 2020 was a bit harder than this. This game is actually, cars have a lot of downforce. It's basically so easy to accelerate and so hard to lock up your tires, and I felt like everyone just got closer to me, not in the esports field, but even my viewers who I play with on everyday live streaming on YouTube just got closer, and I was not happy about this way, because I want the game to be hard, and I want opportunities to gain time and advantage compared to my rivals, and if it's just too easy for everyone to drive, then obviously racing will be good, gaps will be slow, but you will have very little space to get on top of your rivals. And I think F1 2022 will favor the more technical and smarter drivers, and I will work as hard as I possibly can to be among these smart and technical drivers and benefit on this opportunity.
Definitely. So the big question is, will we see you next season in PSGL?
Yes, obviously.
Brilliant. That's what we like to hear. Danny, thank you for a wonderful season again and for all your efforts as well. And we'll look forward to more of your action as well on the next game. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And have a great evening, everyone.
And you. Thank you, Danny. Thank you. What a human being. Certainly 3 great human beings. But I'm joined by another human being. He is our Lord and Master, our Saviour. It is Connor McDonough. Connor, how are you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm very good. It's just, it's all over again, isn't it? How quick a year goes. Just think, a year ago we had like 2,000 subscribers. Now we're just short of 17k, so crazy.
Have I been at every single PC finale? I think I have, haven't I? It's been
28,
29, 30. So I'm back again, closing out another season. This time though, with the Honourable Dan Field as well. But yeah, what a championship! Obviously, we've just heard from 3 of some of esports' very, very best, all singing the praises of PSGL. Danny Berezny openly saying in his very first season that he's really enjoyed himself. What a testament that is to the hard work put in by the team.
Yeah, I mean, it's always great to get these kind words from these drivers. Obviously, all legends of the esports scene. But yes, shout out to Danny especially, because I think he's the only esports driver actually who's attended every race this season. So obviously having that commitment from the esports guys is a great thing. And yeah, I guess it gives us all motivation that we have the best drivers in the world wanting to race in PSGL, and we continue to be the leading league, whether it's in terms of subscribers, numbers, I think in terms of driving standards, the stewarding team, the way we run things. I think it is second to none, and it's never been achieved. What we are achieving now in, say, the league racing scene hasn't been achieved before. So I'm grateful to my team, also the great commentators, George, yourself, Dan, Andy, Jess, who runs the commentary side of things, and obviously Kryptonite, who's like my right-hand man, who does a lot of the day-to-day running of things when I'm, let's say, working or away from home and things like that. So yeah, it's a great team effort, and I think the great thing is the best days are still to come. So yeah, an amazing year, and hopefully the next year is just as fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan, I want to bring you in on this, because obviously you've been commentating this championship, this division all season long. Just can you summarise season 30 for you? What has it been about? The championship, what it has meant, certainly to watch some of these of the greatest drivers we have seen, but also some of the great up-and-coming kids as well that you've commentated in Tier 2 previously as well. I mean, just goes to show the harnessing element of talent we have here at PSGL.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, I've been singing the praises all season long of league racing, sort of being the bridge between the F1 esports drivers and the regular player base, and it's brilliant to see that we get it's lovely to see that all these esports drivers are getting involved in league racing and fighting it out with the youngsters, and PSGL really has been the hub of that for this season. It's been one of the best opportunities and one of the best seasons of league racing I've ever commentated on, so I'm really grateful for this opportunity, and it's been such a great ride.
It certainly has. And some comments about Ginger Andy, of course. We announced him leaving as well at the start. I know you had some comments at the start, but any closing matters on Ginger Andy's exit from the top tier? Because, of course, he will be sorely missed.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I'll let you both. Yeah, you both say something. It's no problem.
Yeah, go on, Dad.
All right. Andy's been he's been wonderful to commentate with for this season, and on WR as well. But in PSGL, it's been great hopping in with him, and then doing the streams with him. And my voice is starting to go a little bit. I think I'm about to tear up here.
Don't burst into tears here, Dan.
It's been wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, not much more to say. I think, obviously, when I used to race, let's say back in the 2017, 2018, like 2019 days, Andy was sort of the go-to commentator, like the main guy in quite a lot of the leagues. So it's great to finally have Andy part of the community, and I think he's well liked. He's a great guy who works very hard. So, obviously he will be missed, but I know like his other commitments with work and his other commentary stuff with football and stuff is taking priority. So it's obviously a shame to lose him, but hopefully we can find someone who can, fill those big shoes and go into the next season, fighting strong and hopefully giving, the fans a great show. So yeah, a shame to lose Andy, but as always, the show goes on. So
it certainly does, and we're setting a precedence now for the next season 31 on F1 22. It's going to be an exciting one, Connor. Certainly PSGL, as you said, has got many years to come, many seasons to come, where it will go from strength to strength. Have you got any hopes for the future? Anything that we can look for, perhaps heading into a new season?
No, I mean, I just want a bit more commitment from the esports drivers, really. Obviously, I appreciate that the esports series will be coming up quite quickly towards PSGL, but yeah, just to show, let's say, the commitment to PSGL, but just to, the respect to, let's say, the team and the time we put in, because, unlike you guys, we don't really get paid to do this. Obviously, if you're a Mercedes driver or a McLaren driver, you've already got a full-time salary and all this sort of stuff, so, just act like it when you can. So yeah, just a bit of respect and a bit of commitment, and we'll show you the same. And hopefully, we can give you guys a platform to do content and also prepare yourselves for the main event, which is of course F1 Esports, because obviously that is priority and always will be. But obviously, we hope that you can, show the respect that we deserve, and we'll give it back. And hopefully, we can all just have a great time together. So I guess that's the main commitment and just a good time, less petty drama, I'd say.
Oh, there you have it. Words there from Connor heading into a new season. Damning words there from Connor. I'm sure it'll pop up on League Racing News at some point. Please brace yourself. But yes, incredible. We're obviously going to be looking ahead, folks, to a brand new season in PSGL. Bigger, better, and bigger. It's going to be bigger, that's for sure. It's going to be outstanding. Season 31 on the F1 22 game. It's going to be unreal. I, for one, can't wait to watch it. I'm sure many of you at home can't wait either. We're going to be seeing new drivers left, right, and centre. All your esports talent, your favourites, all contesting against one another. Will it be a case between Blakely and Otmir? Will the reignition of Brendan Lee's career come back to fruition after his epic performances this season? What about Danny Beresne? Will we see him certainly leapfrog his way to the top once again? We'll have to wait and see, folks. Obviously, please stay tuned to find out. The best place to do so is PSGL at PremierSimGL on Twitter and Instagram now, of course, so make sure you drop a follow via that channel too. But if you haven't done so already, please leave a like and subscribe here as well, because then you can stay up to date with all the new races, all the streams that get updated here across PlayStation and PC as well. But without any further ado, from me, Dan Field, and of course Connor as well, it's been a pleasure bringing you all this, certainly for this season, and we'll look forward to seeing you bright and early for the brand new one when July 1st comes around. Take care, folks. Look after yourselves. We'll see you soon. Goodbye.